All right, here's the theme song, and away we go.
Oh, no way. Oh my God. No way. Oh my God.
Oh, hey. Welcome to the Serial Chillers podcast. I'm Greg, and I'm here, as always, with Jesse. Hi, Jesse. I'm always bad at bringing these in. I know I'm always bad at bringing these in. Today, we've got Isaac, who's been here before. Welcome back, Isaac.
Thanks for having me again, as always.
Absolutely. And we've got Cole, who was just on the Paranormal Stories episode and is on for his first game show. Welcome, Cole.
Hello, how's it going?
Welcome, Cole.
Good.
We
man.
say just, but by the time you guys hear this, it'll be like 2 months after it came out. But still.
Well, time travel is going to be a theme of the night.
Ooh.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
All right.
so most of you know how this show works, but let me explain it for anyone that doesn't. Some weeks I sit down with old friends, new friends, good friends, and bad friends to tell a story of a conspiracy theory, something true crime, dark, creepy, or unsolved, or otherwise mysterious. If it isn't clear, be sure to chime in, because if you have questions about questions, be sure to ask questions, because I cannot answer questions about questions if you never ask questions. Are there any questions?
No.
Okay.
Good.
I loved seeing everybody's head bob along with the questions thing. Like, I feel like I do
That
it
means
too.
we all knew the words.
I know, but I feel like it's people listening. When I listen to the show when I'm editing, I'm doing that. I feel like people driving are doing that when they're doing it. Like,
You at home,
doing heart
did
surgery.
you guys do it?
I do.
Yeah.
Have you ever messed it up, Greg?
Oh, tons, all the time.
Tons? Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, I mess it up still,
Yeah,
and
we-
I've done it 140 times.
We fuck it up religiously.
I mainly listen to it at work, and I feel like I look like a fucking idiot bobbing my head when that
Bobbing
comes on.
That's right. It's
Like, if
fucking
you guys-
catchy, dude. That's what we're all about.
If you guys could hear it, you'd understand. So good. I'm glad nobody has any questions. Welcome to and let's play the Serial Chillers podcast. There it is. I'll give you some sources for today. The Wikipedia, Bibliotheca Pleiades, a show on YouTube called The Y-Files, which has a CGI fish that heckles the guy named Hecklefish. There's a show called History's Mysteries, and various and sundry YouTube videos and internet articles, plus just the internet at large. Today, all that being said, today we're going to discuss what is known as the Phoenix Project, and not the IT solutions thing that seems to be circulating the internet with the same names, cover up. But the Phoenix Project that contains various government operations. I'll go ahead and start it off with question number 1. In what year does our story begin? 500 or 250 to the closest, 500 if you can nail the year. I'll give you 1,000 if you give me the full date that our story begins.
Oh, are we going for who goes first here? I don't think we did the odd even thing.
So
Yeah, we gotta
here's
do
what we'll do:
odds
odds or evens. Cole, since you're new to the show, odds or evens.
I'll do evens.
Evens. You want
So
to go
you pick
first?
whether you'd like to take the odd or the even answer. So you could either start here and take the odds, or you can defer to Isaac and take the evens and start on those.
I'll take the evens. So Isaac, take it
Okay,
away.
Isaac, you can answer first on this one.
Answering
All right.
last.
Repeat the question for me one more time, Hella.
Have the country of origin, please.
Yeah, can you use it in a sentence?
In what year does our story begin? Project.
What year?
Yeah, I can't do that.
I'm gonna go 1961.
19.
Might as well give him a whole date. Give him a whole.
Oh, whole date?
Yeah, because if
Okay.
you nail it, it's for 1,000. So you might as well.
You're right. Let's go. I'm gonna go January 13th, 1961.
Ooh, coming up on the anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Cole, what do you got?
All right, I'm gonna go full date as well, just because why not? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say like May 21st, 1950.
Ooh, both very close. Cole is going to get 250 points.
Ah.
The setting for the beginning of our story is October 28th, 1943.
Ooh.
For those
All
of you
right.
familiar with that date in the conspiracy theory realm, this is the Philadelphia experiment. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Philadelphia experiment.
Oh.
No?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Nope.
It's been touched on the X-Files just a skosh.
I'm halfway stuck between walls on whether or not I am familiar
Yeah.
with the Philadelphia experiment.
I'm in the fence.
That's way better, damn it.
So the Montauk Project was a continuation of a project in 1943 called the Philadelphia Experiment. The Philadelphia Experiment just kind of setting the tone. Around October 28th, 1943, the USS Eldridge was docked in a Philadelphia naval shipyard. I'm gonna hit you. We're pretty front loaded on questions, if I'm being honest. So, question number 2: what kind of ship was the USS Eldridge? Was it anybody want to stab before I give the multiple choice?
Not much of a
How's your
boat
ship
connoisseur.
knowledge?
Nobody's big on ship types.
Nah, big on
Pretty sure
seamen.
The diversity,
Yeah.
diversity was an old wooden ship used during the
Fringe.
Civil War era.
Let's see. There's the Nina, the Pinta,
Santa Maria.
Yeah.
Okay, so question number 2. What type of ship was the USS Eldridge? Was it A, a frigate, B, a destroyer, C, a cruiser, or D, a littoral combat ship? And littoral is spelled Littoral. A littoral combat ship.
Littoral.
So Cole goes first this time, right?
Yes, this would be Cole.
All right.
I'm gonna guess it was a cruiser.
A cruiser.
Then I'm gonna go B. I'm gonna go with the destroyer.
Destroyer. Ultimately the cooler sounding of the two.
That's why I went with it.
250 points to Isaac. The USS Eldridge was a destroyer.
Damn, I was gonna stab at that, but I figured it'd be too easy. Or be
see,
too obvious to guess destroyer, because that's what you think of when you think of Navy ships.
I will say, in the game of serial chillers, it is best to go with your gut. That is a common theme that we try to tell people: go with your gut. So yes, the
and if
USS,
you don't know, go with your asshole.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, just talk a little shit. The USS Eldridge was a destroyer, a newly commissioned destroyer at that. It was 306 feet long, 36 feet 10 inches wide, and 1,646 tons of American pride.
Canyonero.
That's what I was waiting for. That's exactly what I was waiting for. But yes, that's its fully loaded weight, 1,646 tons. That's fucking big, dude. That's so
a lot
many
of weight, my
That's
guy.
so many pounds.
And it still floats.
You know what's fucked up? So the overall length is 306 feet. The water line length is 300 feet. So 1,646 tons only sink 6 feet into the water.
That's crazy.
That's amazing.
Buoyancy's insane.
Yeah, that's above my pay grade. So this ship contained, quote,
Jim!
It contained, quote, several large generators. The idea of the generators was that they would power a force field that would render the ship invisible to enemy radar and undetectable to enemy mines.
Really quickly, as 4 men, we were all young boys. How enamored were you guys with the idea of a force field? Because I know for me,
only when I played freeze tag.
That's like one of the, besides a death ray, a force field was like the only other thing I needed for total world dominance.
As we go further into this, and due to topics that I've discussed in the past, we pretty much know that the U.S. government is a bunch of just petulant children. And when you're like, oh no, we're gonna do this, they're like, we have a bigger, better one, and it does this. And you're like, fuck, dude, that's not even fair. And they're like, it's science. A wizard did it. And
you should try being the U.S. government.
Yeah, healthcare, schools, roads, no, bombs.
Bombs.
rods from God. But anyway, I digress.
They won't let me have any.
Right? I make one, and I'm on a list. These
Right.
guys make dozens a day. And
Mass manufacture them, and I make one. Send it in the mail one time.
One time. Rest in peace, Uncle Ted. So when the ship was in the dock for testing, they fired up the generators, and the ship was swallowed up by a green fog. First, it surrounded the ship's hull, and then it completely covered the fog, or it completely covered the ship in a green mist. After a few seconds, the fog cleared, and the ship wasn't displaying on radar. However, the ship was also not displaying in front of them. They couldn't see the ship. Question number 3. How far away in miles did the ship wind up? Closest to the answer
An
gets
invisible
250
ship.
points. Well, it wasn't invisible when it turned up.
But that's what I'm saying is like, by the time they lost it, that's the reason that it turned up miles away, because they couldn't fucking see it.
It disappeared.
It didn't show up on a radar.
Right. So how many miles away was the ship when it rematerialized? Isaac, I believe you are first.
Yes, sir. Let's go 690 miles away.
690 miles away.
I was gonna go like 15.
15 miles away. Okay. Cole, that will get you the points.
Oh, I should have went with 1. This Price is Right rules?
1 would not have gotten you the points. The Eldridge wound up approximately 250 miles away in Norfolk, Virginia. Okay. Now, this next part, I wanted to make this next part into a question, but I'm not really sure how to make it into a question. So I'm just going to give you the information because this is a little fucky. The Eldridge showed up in Virginia approximately 10 minutes prior to when it left in fucking, where was it? God damn it, Philadelphia.
The Philadelphia Project?
Yeah.
It arrived in Virginia 10 minutes before it took off in Philadelphia?
Yes.
Gotcha.
It showed up at a shipyard in Virginia 10 minutes before it left Philadelphia.
Yeah, that would have been a tough question. It would have been a trick question, because if you would have asked us
when it
how much time lapsed, I don't think either of us would have went backwards.
-10.
Yeah, negative 10 minutes. So it took another 10 minutes for it to reappear in Philadelphia. So it took 10 minutes for it to disappear from Philadelphia and reappear in Philadelphia. It took 20 minutes from the time it appeared in Virginia until it reappeared in Philadelphia. Does that make sense?
So it disappeared twice?
Yes. So it disappeared from Philadelphia. It went back in time 10 minutes.
Okay.
To Virginia. Then it disappeared from Virginia and went forward in time 20 minutes back to Philadelphia.
Respawn. Just respawned. That's all.
Choose your respawn location.
Yeah.
So yes, that would have been very tough for me to make.
Near your bed, closest checkpoint.
Closest
Tactical
checkpoint,
insert, MW2 style.
Yeah. So after it reappeared in Philadelphia, the crew that was aboard the ship was in a bad way. Some were severely disoriented. Some were very dizzy and nauseous. Some went fully insane and had to be committed. Some disappeared. And some reappeared in Philadelphia in the shipyard, burned or like actively on fire. And some were fused to the boat on a molecular level. So like growing out of the deck of the ship, growing out of the wall of the ship, growing out of the hull.
That was my bad joke earlier.
Yeah, when he said he's stuck between
two walls.
Yeah, and I said I'm in the fence about it. Like,
oh yeah, just rub it in that yours was better, buddy.
Hey,
say it again.
I mean, just saying, if we're showing highlights, let's include them both. So yeah, some of these guys had bonded with the ship and they were part of it, and of course they were in extreme agony and died that way. Two of the people from the ship never returned at all, just didn't come back.
They're like, yo, just cut them off though. We still need this ship. It was expensive.
Yeah, we're just gonna recommission that. Yeah, don't step in the bottom half of Dave. So yeah, the story's got multiple levels to it. And on to the next level of this story is just to tell you that the USS Eldridge was never in Philadelphia, according to its logs on this day. Like, if you look at the ship's logs, according to the books that it has, it says where it is when it's supposed to be there and all that. It was in New York. So, sucks to suck. But,
nice try, lying idiots.
yeah, I also feel like there was I feel like that's pretty easy to, like, doctor. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
I feel like
yeah.
Especially if
super
you're the
easy to fix.
government altering your own documents. I feel like that's not the
Yeah,
first time, won't be the last time type thing.
Whoa, guys. Our United States government would not do something like that. You'd have a hard time catching me believing it.
We've
Yeah, you're right.
investigated
Sorry.
ourselves and found that we did nothing wrong.
I'm sorry, I was out of line. I'll never speak again.
Yeah.
But take me off the list, please.
Oh,
Yeah, Mark, you heard him. Forgot where I was. Oh,
Mark
yeah.
just added a bunch of new names to the list, dude.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you hang out with me.
We've had our own NSA agent for decades, guys. Don't trip.
Yeah.
So in October of 1943, in the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, they were working on invisibility to radar. So that part is true. They were using electromagnetic currents, and so the Germans used the Gauss as the unit of measurement for the strength of magnetic fields for the triggers in their mines. Keep in mind, this is the early 1940s. Like, we're freshly into World War II. So the mines that they had, those big floating things that look like the Bumble Ball that was a toy when we were kids,
Yeah.
those use magnets, and when you get close enough, the magnets would trigger and it would cause the mine to explode. So they were experimenting with a type of like a reverse magnet that kept that from happening, basically. And it was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool process. So counteracting the mines was called degaussing. They used electromagnetic coils that basically fuck with the magnetic triggers of the mines. It was super expensive to do this. So they switched to a method called wiping, which was basically just a large electrical cable that drug along the side of the boat in the water. Giving out, it used a pulse, which is important, but it used a pulse with approximately 2,000 amps. And it was like, it would demagnetize all the magnets in the area. So that didn't happen.
I'm going to really quickly show my age. Does anybody remember when we had CRT TVs, and if you got a magnet too close to it, it would like fuck up the TV?
Yep.
Well, there was always in like the newer ones when like when things like popped up on the screen on the CRT TVs, they had a setting that was a degauss that you could go in and degauss, and your screen would go and like flash, and all those magnet things would go away. And I don't know, you just threw me back like nostalgia super hard.
That's basically what it is demagnetizing
just saying
it.
that. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so
it's like, because we always talk about how like military to consumer technology goes. It used to be a thing to repel mines, and it was like, yo, we could fix magnet stains on TV screens with this too. They're like, yeah, fuck it, put it in TVs.
That's also like 50 years later too. Like they're like, we've gotten so done with this technology that we can just give it to the mass public to put in CRT TVs to make it so the picture doesn't suck anymore. Like. Yeah. That's like you said, the military to the public pipeline right there.
Yeah. With the aliens to the military to the public.
Oh, so did I send you the outline?
No, I've been hanging out with you long enough.
Here we go.
So the problem with doing this, with using this wiping method, the ships using this method would have to come in for regular degaussing themselves because they would screw around with the surrounding magnetic fields. And eventually it would get weaker, but what would happen is they would pick up the Earth's magnetic field and it would like magnetize their shit again. And they were like, oh, and now they're not effective. They're not
like it worked too good.
Well, it was like, it would wear out almost.
I see.
So like it would get so low that it would just start picking up magnet waves instead of repelling them. And then it started causing the mines to go off. And that was the problem. So there was a man named Maurice Jessup who wrote a book called The Case for the UFO. And he really kicked off the Philadelphia experiment as a whole. Question number 4. What subject did Jessup have his master's degree in? Does anybody want to stab at this before I go for the multiple choice?
I'll pass on the stab.
Okay.
Pass 2.
Okay. Your options are A, biology, B, parapsychology, C, astronomy, or D, physics? For 250 points, what subject did Jessup have his master's degree in? Biology, parapsychology, astronomy, or physics?
Question 4 would be mine.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I'm gonna guess that would be biology.
A, biology. Isaac?
I'm gonna go with the wild card. I'm gonna go with astronomy.
Astronomy.
I'm gonna say
feel like
physics, Greg.
You want to say physics?
Yep.
Physics seemed too easy.
Jessup had a master's degree from the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor in astronomy.
Woo.
250 points
Wow.
to Isaac.
Wild card.
Yeah, you got to start going with your gut, man. Like it was right there. Jessup received a fair share of fan mail that came along with his book that he wrote, The Case for the UFO. It was kind of at the right time. He wrote this book in like the mid 50s. So like, Roswell was just in the past, and people are all fired up, and like if you remember the pop culture of the 50s, there was a lot of like space travel in the year 2000. Things are going to be like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of wonder about the future, and he wrote this book, and it was a lot about the technology that the UFOs used to travel, like how they covered great distances and all this stuff. It was a fairly impressive book for the time. But he received a lot of fan mail because of it, people sharing their own UFO experiences and their own ideas about what could cause these things to fly, and their own ideas about his science. But he received a letter from a man named Carlos Allende, who claimed to be on a merchant ship well within view of the USS Eldridge and described the events. He basically wrote this guy a letter and said, "Hey, I was on a merchant ship nearby. I saw this thing disappear," and told them everything that I told you. He said he also claimed to know the science behind what he saw and how it worked. He claimed that the U.S. realized Einstein's unified field theory, which basically says electromagnetism and gravity merge into a single field at a certain point. And he said that the U.S. did the work and made that a possibility, and as a result are able to do the things that he mentioned. However, Allende was off to a bad start. He gave a fake name. His name's not Carlos Allende. His real name's Carl Allen. But that
sounds way less exotic.
Right. But I got to admit, Carlos Allende is a fucking cool name. There are some pretty cool
phenomenal
names in this
name.
story too. We usually get some cool names on the show, and there's some pretty cool ones in this one. So he was a huge fan of Jessup's writing, and he wrote him approximately 50 letters. However, he was stationed at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard at the time. He made a bunch of wild claims about guys walking through the walls of their quarters in full view of their family and disappearing. He also mentioned two fellas bursting into flames and burning for 18 days.
That
Sounds fucking brutal.
Yeah, absolutely.
sounds like an
wild.
excellent fuel source, though.
Right? Imagine just trying to throw sand on it, and he's like, "No, now there's just sand in the wounds." Roughly 2 years after Jessup stopped responding because of the obvious outlandish shit he's receiving, two men from the ONR, or the Office of Naval Research, showed up asking to speak with Jessup. They showed up at his house. They were like, "Hey, we got to talk to you." And they basically said, "We got this envelope here," and they opened it and pulled out a copy of his book, and they said, "There's a bunch of notes scribbled in the margins here." They said they received a copy of his book, and in the margins were notes back and forth between three people who called themselves question number 5. What did these people refer to themselves? They gave themselves a nickname. Anybody want to stab at this, or do you just want the multiple choice?
I'm gonna go with multiple choice for sure.
Yeah, multiple choice.
Okay. Question number 5. What did these three people refer to themselves as? Was it A, the Gypsies, B, the Guardians, C, the Seekers, or D, the Exposers?
I'm gonna go with C, the Seekers.
C, the Seekers.
I'm gonna go with the Gypsies.
The Gypsies. 250 points to Cole.
God.
The people making notes in the margins referred to themselves as the Gypsies. One of them even claimed to be an alien.
Okay.
Gypsy
All right.
alien.
All right.
I
Yeah.
like it. I like it.
Interesting dynamic
Well, if you
going
think
on
about
there.
it, some species of aliens are kind of gypsy-like, right? Like they just
Yeah.
kind of go around like spreading
Um,
their stuff, sharing their
Spread-
ware.
Spreading their
So-
stuff.
What's the what's the score at right now?
So that put Cole at a 750 to 500 lead.
Okay, so it's a tight game.
Tight
It's a
one.
tight game.
And that was question 5, correct?
That was question 5.
Just making sure I'm square. Yep.
Yep, that is a tight game. I like this. That means there is going to have to be
Tight
some
butthole,
strategy.
guys.
There
Tight
is gonna have
butthole.
to be
Great
some
job.
strategy that comes into play. So let's see. The notes that they made in the margins of the book that the ONR received were discussing the Philadelphia experiment and even the potential for the ship, the USS Eldridge, to have been teleported or transported by aliens. The book was shown to Jessup, and they said, "What do you think about this? Since you wrote the book, and these people used your book as a basis for all this stuff." And immediately, Jessup takes a look at it, closes it, hands it back to him, says, "This is nothing you need to worry about. This guy's name's Carl Allen. He used different pens with different colored inks to make it look like he's 3 different people. Don't need to worry about this at all." And they were like, "Okay, great, thanks." And that was that.
He's like,
with
trust
that.
me, Carl Allen was in a band in high school called the Gypsies. Trust me.
Yeah. He's just doodling their logo a bunch in the margins. No, so that's just, what's weird about that is that, like, yes, it's weird that, to me, that the Office of Naval Research, who's like responsible for all Navy technology, was like, we need to check this out. On the other hand, it's just a crazy guy writing crazy things in a book. And they were
To
like,
himself.
yeah, and they were probably like just doing their due diligence to make sure that this guy's not involved in it as well,
Yeah, Kevin
Um,
Durant got caught up in that shit on Twitter. I seen it.
Seen it. So
Easy
was
money
Carl
sniper?
Carl Allen part of the Navy?
I think that's up for debate because I
Okay.
think he says he was, and I think there's not a lot
Stolen
of proof.
valor.
I think there's not a lot of proof that says he was,
Well, yeah.
but I think
Also wasn't proof that the boat was in Philadelphia.
well, and you know what I'm saying? It's the government doing their own.
Yeah.
We investigated ourselves and we found we did nothing wrong.
3 weeks paid leave for everyone.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just the leading theory is that he may have been close to something that was actually close to something that happened there in regards of like radar invisibility. And they were like, this is just a little too close to home. We got to check it out.
Yeah.
He was close to something that was close to something. And they didn't like how close he was getting to something.
Yeah, I think he was like sniffing around the edges and they were like, nah. But he thought he was smack dab in the middle. So anyway, Jessup wrote a second book, and this book was a dud. It was a flop. So he wrote a third book and was like, this'll help me rebound. And was subsequently dropped by his publisher because the book was also a flop. Kind of desperate and on his last leg, he combed through the claims of Carlos Allende and compiled all the information that he could that proved anything about what was said. Anything that proved that the Eldridge was in Philadelphia, anything that proved that they were working on radar technology in Philadelphia, anything about anything that proved anything that he said was even remotely close. He compiled.
Because this is how you investigate. You try to find things that match your initial claim, not try to find things of what the truth is.
No,
That's how you investigate.
If you can support your claim, then your claim is true. Hello.
You need anything you can find to fit your narrative. Everything else, like, nah, fake news.
Yeah.
Fake
Well,
news.
I'm sure you know, Greg, but the highest honor in journalism is being murdered by the CIA. So
Absolutely. Rest in peace, Gary
That's
Webb.
that's why you got to always tweet like daily. I am not suicidal.
Yeah, I am
something
alive.
happens to
Daily
me.
check-in.
I did not kill myself with 3 shots to the back of the head from a 45.
Yeah.
Or like the guy in the Las Vegas shooting with the anyway. I'll get to that eventually.
Uh-oh.
Coward just now.
Whoa.
What's one more list? Come on.
Yeah. So yes, desperate, he combed through the claims of Carlos Allende to support anything he could. In 1958, Jessup visited his friend called his friend Ivan Sanderson. He said he gave him everything he had. He said, "Here's everything I've got. Here's all the
Everything you got."
information. Yeah, here's all the information I have about the Philadelphia experiment. Keep this safe. If anything happens to me, you're the guy."
Famous last words.
Yeah. April 19th, 1959, Jessup contacted his friend Mason Valentine, also a great name. They arranged a meeting for the following day, 420. Jessup never showed up for his meeting. He was found dead.
Shocker.
Question number 6. What was the cause of death? Does anybody want to stab before I do this?
Yes, 17 gunshot wounds to the back of the head. Self-inflicted.
Anybody else want to
Everyone's
get?
getting creative. I'll pass on it. There's too many ways.
Well, it's a tight game. I'm gonna pass as well.
Okay. Question number 6. What was the cause of death? Was he A, hit by a car, B, carbon monoxide poisoning, C, self-inflicted gunshot wound, or D, cardiac arrest?
Ooh, those are good answers.
Those are good answers. Unfortunately, only one of them's the truth.
And I don't actually know. Just like the show, if you're using my answers for research, don't.
So question number 6, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so this is
Okay.
Cole's.
Okay. I'm going to guess it was cardiac arrest.
And I'm gonna go carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide.
That was going to be my other
monoxide
choice.
poisoning.
Yeah.
Got to go with your gut, you know. Jessup was found April 20th, 1959, in his car, dead by carbon monoxide poisoning.
No one dies from carbon monoxide poisoning.
He was found in his
Unless
car.
they
With,
do it
No
to
one.
themselves.
No one.
he was found in the car with a hose from the exhaust leading into the car. There were rags sealing all the windows, and his death was ruled a suicide. However, there was no autopsy performed.
This is how you warm your car up faster in the winter.
Right? It just makes me sleepy. I had to take the batteries out of my carbon monoxide detector I have in my room because the
Yeah, that's
beeping
great
was
for you.
giving me a headache and making me nauseous.
Isaac, in Isaac's career, he's just he's
It's
just hurting
cringy.
right now.
It's cringy.
Cole, Isaac is a fire captain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You'll love that
Oh.
I took the batteries out of my smoke detector like a week ago because it fucking woke me up and I had to put it back.
Took the
I
batteries
choose
out
to-
of my
I-
smoke detector because my Xbox controller died.
That's funny.
The worst part was trying to make a 9-volt fit in the Xbox controller.
Anything's possible with a hammer, dude.
Exactly. My man
Bart
engineers
Simpson
too.
proved it.
All right. So, due to some extenuating circumstances, suicide may not have been out of the question for Jessup. He was a twice failed author who had just been dropped by his publisher. Recently, his wife had passed, and he was also in chronic pain from a recent car accident. So, he had a
I'll
lot
fuck
of
around with
factors-
killing myself if that was all going down.
Yeah, he's got a lot of factors working against him. So, but I will say, generally, if that's the plan for somebody, they're not gonna say, "Hey, I'll see you tomorrow." You know what I mean?
Oh,
Okay,
sorry,
so
sorry.
that's pretty much that's the end of the Philadelphia experiment itself. It ends with Jessup giving the information to his friend and then ultimately killing himself to no autopsy.
Which seems strange, right? Because although it appeared to be a suicide, feels like any death that doesn't have a cause that can be 100%. I don't know. It just seems like that's a death you would do an autopsy for.
You'd think, but
Yeah.
depends
He
on
didn't have
who's
any
pulling the strings.
I don't know if you know, but did he have any family or anything like that were like, "Hey, I want an autopsy done" or anything? I know you said his wife died, but
Yeah, his wife passed. I don't know that he had children. There's not a lot of information on these guys because they're pretty. I hate to say this, but these guys are kind of nobodies.
gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they're a 5-star general who has a Wikipedia page about them.
Yeah.
He's a guy who wrote a book and got fan letters from crazy people. Like, I mean, I've had crazy people send me some pretty wild stories via like Instagram and stuff. And
And
it's
we're not
cool.
even famous.
Yeah, and I'm like, cool, dude. Like, I like that. I like to, hear what
People
they have to
barely
say.
listen to this show.
Yeah, so that's
Thank you to
part
the
of it.
dozens of you out there.
Dozens. But yeah, like it's just that's basically what happened. Is that there's not a ton of information, so I don't know if he had kids or not.
Yeah.
But I also know that in a lot of these situations, especially where the government may or may not have been involved, you're not going to get an autopsy, or you're not going to get an autopsy that's going to satisfy.
Yeah.
So like what was the family of the doctor who got thrown out of the window in the hotel and in the 50s or 60s
From
or whatever.
Wormwood.
Yeah, and it took his family until like 1993 to get an answer that he didn't jump.
Just a little 4.5 decades, Stan. Just a little
Yeah.
4.5 decades.
Yeah, like it was wild, but yeah, that, I mean, so it doesn't surprise me that he doesn't have an autopsy. But also it was 1959. So
Yeah.
what are they going to, it's not like
Yeah.
they were going to go full CSI on it.
They still did autopsies by knocking on the top of your skull and listening to what your death sound was.
What was it? They did phrenology on him. They're like, by the size and shape of his head, this man was a serial killer and somebody did the world a favor. Yeah, so that's the end of the Philadelphia experiment, but we do have the Montauk Project to look forward to, also known as the Phoenix Project Part 2. It begins with a man named Al Bielek. Born in 1927, Al Bielek was distinguished as, quote, the walking encyclopedia throughout grade school. Al's affinity for electronics became evident when he successfully passed an electronics test before his high school graduation and was recruited by the Navy during the war years. He later completed his education and pursued various roles in the electronics field. During his tenure contracting for military entities, revelations about our engagement with extraterrestrials and psychic operations, or PSYOPs, programs unfolded. Subsequently, peculiar occurrences started affecting Al. In 1956, while in Hawaii, he had a brief encounter with someone he now believes to be Mark Hamill, the Star Wars actor.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, wait, like Luke Skywalker?
the Mark Hamill in
That's
Hawaii.
cool. He seems like a pretty good guy.
In 1956.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Seems a little early.
I don't know. So,
I don't know.
shortly after, he was enlisted in the Montauk Project and balancing his regular job in California with his duties in the underground Montauk, Long Island facility, facilitated by a perfected time tunnel. He was able
Just
to
really quickly let you know, Mark Hamill was 5 years old. Not impossible.
I was gonna say, I bet he was born back then. But
he sees him, he's like, hey, live long and prosper. And Mark Hamill's like, I don't fucking get it.
yeah. God damn it, Greg. It's been a while since you got to do one of those, huh? You feel fucking good?
None of that was even true. I had to shoehorn that in here just so I could do that to you. Just kidding. That's what's in here. It's I don't know if he saw Mark Hamill in 1956. Who knows? I mean, that movie took place
a long time ago
in a galaxy far,
far away.
So
if they left out, I was never a really big Star Wars fan.
Me neither.
Greg literally knows enough to always make a Star Trek reference when mentioning Star Wars, and he knows it drives me fucking nuts. Did you not just hear him say that he saw little Mark Hamill and say "Live long and prosper"?
Yeah, I thought that sounded a little fucky, but
yeah.
That's good.
Like, I wish there was somebody who wanted to like go back and listen to all the serial killers and just find every time Greg has done that, because we could have like a 22-minute supercut of just Greg making incorrect Star Wars references.
Yeah, like I said, I listen to the show at work. I'll let you know what I find on Monday.
All right, now you got me fucked up. Let's finish.
Love it. In the 1970s, Al served as the. Hold on, did anybody have? Do you want me to follow up on the perfected time tunnel from California to Long Island? Everybody was cool with that. It was the Mark Hamill in the 50s in Hawaii that fucked everybody up. Not the time tunnel that connects California and Long Island. Okay, as long as we're cool.
We were talking anomalies. I was just trying to figure out why he hung out with Luke Skywalker in 1956. But
Time
then
tunnel.
I realized that it was actually possible. So
time tunnel.
So I guess my question then was, Greg, serious question. Did Mark Hamill also have access to the time tunnel and they ran into each other because they both had access to the time tunnel and it was an adult Mark Hamill? Or did he run into 5-year-old Mark Hamill and go, oh shit, that's Mark Hamill as a kid? That's where my head was. Like, which of those two scenarios was the true scenario?
If I had to venture a guess, it would be that he ran into adult Mark Hamill in Hawaii in 1956 as a result of a time tunnel, because everybody knows Hollywood elites are hanging out with government agencies doing weird time warp shit.
Yeah.
If I had to venture a guess.
Let's do the time warp again.
It's been right there in front of our faces the entire time. They've just been telling us.
Tim Curry's been trying to show us.
He would. Tim Curry would tell us. So in the 1970s, Al served as the program director for psychics at Montauk, overseeing operations related to the mind control program that they had there. Yeah, by the way, you guys familiar with MK Ultra?
Yes.
Yeah, guess what? That's tied in.
No way, Jose.
So with influence over programs like the Montauk Boys, he maintained regular contact with key figures like Duncan Cameron, Preston Nichols, and Stuart Swerdlow.
I don't know, right when you said Montauk Boys, all I could hear was, we're the Montauk Boys.
So, yeah, the Montauk Boys, they had it rough, dude. They were,
they're just trying to make it.
Yeah, we'll talk about them. You might not be too far off with those nerds though, because there's rumors that they're MK Ultra.
Stop.
No, there is because there is. Hold on here. There is because they're industry plants. They've been brainwashed and they've been put to be famous because fucking what have they done? Literally, what are they famous for?
Aren't they like literally fucking each other now?
Yeah, I was gonna say they make out and shit now.
How do you make a brother do that to his brother? You
money.
Don't. No
money.
You brainwash
Lots
him,
of
dude.
money.
Because how
Greg,
much?
there isn't a single thing that I wouldn't do for some sort of money. I got
I'm
a
with
price,
Isaac
baby.
on this one. I'm in that same boat.
But is that not still just a form of brainwashing?
You got a point.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's cultural brainwashing, though, right?
Brainwashing, nonetheless.
I call it being broke as shit. That's what I call it.
Well, yeah, but
I'm broke.
So, in the 1980s, actively participating in the time control experiments, Al engaged in time travel endeavors, including visits to Mars, a research station in the year 100,000 BC, trips to obtain canisters filled with light and dark energy from other planets, and a journey to the year 6037. Just in case you wanted to know, things are still kicking in 6037. Back in January of
Damn it.
Right.
That means what I'm doing now has a reaction.
That's why I'm not concerned about global warming.
Yeah.
You say the planet's going to end in a few years? Like, obviously not. But
government said so.
Yeah, it's right there. Back in January of 1988, after watching the movie The Philadelphia Experiment, Al's memories begin resurfacing, leading him to believe his involvement with the Montauk Project concluded with this revelation. He basically saw the movie and was like, oh, I remember that happening to me. And they were like, oh, you do? What were your memories? And he was like, and told him his memories. And they were like, oh, so the movie The Montauk Project, or the movie The Philadelphia Experiment. And he was like, basically, yeah. And so his memories that resurfaced in his head all these years later were almost identical to the movie that he watched that made all these made all these memories resurface in his head. So just keep that in the back of your mind.
No, the world's fucking weird, and I want to try to block myself from it as much as possible.
Subsequent interactions with key figures like Preston Nichols and Duncan Cameron further brought back memories. Notably, Dr. John Van Neumann attempted to contact.
Say it again, Greg. Say it again.
Three. Go with take three.
John Van Neumann.
There
I was
it
trying to
was.
summon him like Beetlejuice, but maybe clear some of this up. He attempted to contact Al after his memories resurfaced, and he made a promise to a man named Ed Cameron. We'll talk a little more about Ed Cameron in just a moment. But deciding to go public in 1989, Al has become a prolific speaker on radio talk shows and conferences, despite concerns about potential harm or interference. And he believes his experiences in time travel have locked him into this timeline. That's why he's not afraid of being suicided. Al and others from the program, they exist in the present still, and they aim to balance the effects stemming from earlier time travel experiments. Basically, they're saying we fucked things up a little. We're trying to fix it. Unfortunately, Al Bielek passed away in Mexico on October 10th, 2011, at the ripe old age of 84. Or did he? Because...
Or did he? Or did he?
Ed Cameron, born August 4th, 1916 in Bay Shore, Long Island, New York, led a remarkable life before his transformation into Al Bielek. Raised by his Aunt Arnold alongside his brother Duncan Cameron in a lavish 26-room mansion on Long Island, Ed's educational journey began at Princeton in 1932 and culminated with a PhD from Harvard in 1939.
From Harvard.
His life took a significant turn when he met Dr. John Van Neumann at Princeton, leading both Ed and Duncan to be recruited by the Navy in September of 1939. Trained for 90 days, they were commissioned as Lieutenant JG and engaged in Project Invisibility, or the Rainbow Project. Before diving into the project, the Cameron brothers had to relearn physics from Dr. Van Neumann, who worked on the Manhattan Project. That guy was legit. He was a big-time guy. And they delved into gravity, time, and quantum physics. This guy basically was like, remember all that stuff that you learned at Harvard? He's like, we're shaking it up. It's different. And he's like, these are the real numbers, which I've always said. The reason we can't get like quantum space and get like way off in space in a reasonable amount of time is because we're not using the right math. The math we're using is made for here. It's not made for there. Once we figure out that math, boom, we're traveling interstellar, but that'll be a huge shift for humanity, but we're just not there yet. We haven't figured out the math.
That's why the aliens keep passing us by, man. They're like, these guys still haven't got this fucking math, dude.
Like, Jesus Christ, they went from swords to nuclear bombs in longer time than it took them to go from swords to stronger swords. But seriously, it took us less time to go from swords to nuclear bombs than it did to go from like bronze to iron swords. Like, it's wild. Also, that might be where the phrase "the sword and the stone" came from. Smelting iron ore down and being able to forge an iron sword was stronger than all the other swords, so you found the sword within the stone. Anyway, yeah, forget me.
What the fuck do I know?
Yeah,
Who the fuck am I? Hella Greg, that's right.
I'm just some guy on the internet, man. During their involvement in the project, Ed met luminaries like Nikola Tesla and Albert Einstein, who contributed to the mathematical theories behind invisibility. Remember how we talked about Einstein's unified field theory?
Mm-hmm.
The first successful test of a Navy tender in a Brooklyn Navy Yard in September of 1940 marked the birth of, quote, Project Rainbow, classified by the Navy. Excited by the results, President Roosevelt aimed to apply invisibility to battleships, given the increasing threats from German U-boats. Those are the U-boats and the mines and all that stuff. That's what we were talking about earlier. this is why they were like, fuck, dude, we got to do something about this, because even though they didn't attack, there were German U-boats before we entered the war sitting pretty close to the U.S. East Coast, just kind of chilling. And we were like, they better not. And they were like,
hey, what are you guys doing over there?
they're not going to do anything. And
We are just hanging out, enjoying this East Coast weather.
yeah, exactly. And the U.S. was like, we're watching you. And then when we were watching them, we got hit on the other side in what they claimed was a sneak attack. But that's neither here nor there. Awaiting modifications to the battleship that they had, Ed and Duncan were assigned to the USS Pennsylvania, but had their orders canceled due to the anticipated Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. Deemed too valuable to risk, the brothers avoided the perilous journey. Following the USS Eldridge invisibility test, Ed married Mary Jane and had a son named Jeff Cameron. However, Ed's journey took a different turn when he was transferred to Los Alamos National Laboratory in July of 1944, contributing to the atomic bomb project. See, like I said, he met that guy who was working on the Manhattan Project. During this time, he discovered accidental time travel near the Bermuda Triangle in 1936. It's something that they had known about and just had like a little file on. And he just happened to be like looking for something else and was like, wait, time travel, 1936, Bermuda Triangle.
Fuck you say?
And they were like, yeah, don't worry about it. And he was like, well, I feel like I should, but onward and upward. So while working
the ultimate way to make somebody worry about something.
Yeah, don't.
That little guy right there?
I wouldn't worry about that.
I wouldn't worry about that little guy.
So while working on the hydrogen bomb project, Ed disagreed with Dr. Teller on weaponizing fusion, leading to his separation from his family in 1947. Basically, they told him, you can keep working on the project, but they took him away from his family. They were like, you don't get to be with them anymore. That was like his punishment for, you can't not be on the project because we need you on the project. But as punishment for going against the grain, we're taking you away from your family and we're putting you someplace else. So he was assigned to observe the Mach 1 project at Edwards Air Force Base. Ed collaborated with Jack Ridley and formed a company called JRC Enterprises, which successfully built the first ion propulsion engine in 1953. However, complications arose, possibly involving the Christialdi Research Group, leading to Ed's removal by, quote, Black Ops soldiers. He was taken to the Pentagon, and Ed was sent through a portal to Alpha Centauri 1, interrogated by aliens, and eventually returned to the Pentagon. Despite reporting in daily, he received no further assignments. So, what a hell of a way. Like that, you know how like in retail, they just stop putting you on the schedule?
Yeah.
That's kind of what they did to him after making him go talk to aliens after going through a time portal. Continuous
That's a lot to take in a couple sentences right there.
Isn't it? Like I
kind of like, whoa. We might have to provide him with mental health coverage for the rest of his life. He had to fucking talk to aliens. Like, oh, just fire him. Just fire him.
No, don't fire him. Just
tell him
to put in. Change his office key.
Make him an independent contractor.
Oh, that's the worst one.
that one hit too close to home. So continuous inquiries led to a plea to the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who claimed that the matter was beyond their control. On August 12, 1953, Ed was taken to Montauk, physically regressed into Al Bielek, and transported back to the year 1927.
Wait.
Which, if you'll remember...
Talking about a couple sentences where there's a lot to take in.
That was when...
a lot going on here.
1927 is when Al Bielek was born. So...
Okay.
So did this project start in 1943 or 1927 then?
It started in 1943. He was sent back to 1927. Just like tossed into the past.
So when you get sent back, then he also loses all of his memory, and
he recovered these memories later in life.
After watching the movie, but
after watching the movie.
Of the events that took place on him.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a time loop. Do you not watch Futurama?
I do watch Futurama.
You see the Roswell episode?
Yeah. Do you remember the Roswell episode where they went back in time and
I
then
do
the
remember
guy
that one.
accidentally interfered with his grandfather, and
Yes.
then ended up sleeping with his grandmother, and in turn became his own grandfather.
Yes.
Yes.
So Ed Cameron is the end of the time loop. Him getting sent back to Al Bielek is the beginning of the time loop. He gets sent back to become Al Bielek, and he lives this whole life, and then unlocks these memories of Ed Cameron, who's already lived and died, so that Al Bielek can live.
Okay.
Does that make sense? You look like
Yes
you're
and no.
really trying to process it.
Well, I am, but 'cause the other thing I'm thinking about now, and I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself, but if he passed away in 2011, is it not capable that he is still alive? He just went back to maybe like 1970, and he's still alive as another name.
What year were your kids born, Isaac? Huh?
Two-
Any 2011 kids? Huh?
No, 2019, dude. All COVID babies.
Well, I mean, what's to say? Like, do you remember? This is an episode.
Al Bielek's at your house right now. Your kid just pops in the camera behind you.
It's
Show
me.
them, show them the movie. Watch the reactions on their face.
No, I was there.
Oh my god!
Shut up, Timmy.
Do you know Ed Duncan? No. Do you an episode I want to do like on one of the chiller chatters or something is oh god, what are they called? It's an what's another word for blue? Indigo Children.
Oh.
Remember Indigo Children in like the 80s? Yeah.
Yes.
Because
I wasn't around for that one. Sorry.
So Indigo Children were born in the 80s, but they were like special children born. They were born with like telekinetic powers and extra smart and all this stuff. It's really, but they're like super socially awkward, and it's this whole like list of qualifiers to be an Indigo child. But
it's basically like a Stephen King book.
Right.
Yep. I actually just finished that book, Jesse.
Which one?
What is it? The Institute. Yep.
I knew that's the one you were talking about.
Yep.
Great book. Great book, by the way, everybody.
That being a possibility, like, maybe that's what happened, is that he died in 2011, but he went back so that he would be the appropriate age now to be in, like, if he was born in 85, that would put him at 37 right now.
Yeah.
38.
38.
So now, 38. So now he's out here like trying to right the wrongs in the timeline that they fucked up, that they already said, hey, we're trying to fix the shit that we fucked up.
No, he's out here TikToking. He's out here hit him up on Snapchat.
Maybe he's out here making
playing Fortnite no build
previous lives.
He's influencing out here.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he forgot. So, there's a man named Duncan Cameron. That's Ed's brother. Duncan Cameron emerges as a pivotal figure in the complex narrative of the Philadelphia experiment and the Montauk Project. Al Bielek, formerly known as Ed Cameron, asserts that Duncan, his brother during Ed's time as Ed Cameron, fuck, that is difficult to read. Basically, he says...
Who wrote this shit?
Chat GPT. It's like it's not even done by a human. And I did proofread it, but I was proofreading fast and I'm borderline illiterate. So basically it says they leapt off Duncan says they both jumped off the boat as it got sucked into the time hole during the Philadelphia experiment. That's what Duncan says. He got catapulted into the future. So the ship went 10 minutes into the past and 250 miles away. And he went about the same distance, but 40 years into the future and landed in Montauk. Both were sent back to the USS Eldridge with a mission to dismantle the equipment holding the ship in hyperspace. Basically, the reason why... So they were talking... Because he went to like 5 or 6 different timelines. Or not timelines, but spots in time. He went to like 2137. He went to like 2750. But ultimately, they got... When they came back, their mission was to... Or they were told that the reason why the ship malfunctioned and the whole process malfunctioned was because there was a malfunctioning generator. if they went back and they disconnected that generator, it wouldn't have happened. So they got sent back in time to fix the generator or dismantle it. According to Al Bielek, before the USS Eldridge reappeared, Duncan, displaying remarkable agility, leapt off the ship and returned to 1983. Subsequently, Duncan became a prominent figure in the Montauk Project, actively participating as a psychic. In one experiment, Duncan encountered a setback when he lost his, quote, time lock, causing him to age rapidly with 1 year passing for every hour. So,
Oh,
yeah, a lot of, and I'll talk a little bit more about what these guys did because it's kind of wild, dude. It's kind of wild.
and that's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. See, it was just like,
It sounds a lot like
culture here's.
sounds a
Art
lot like
imitating
Interstellar
life.
here, trying to go back in time to fix something, and so much time somewhere else is so much time back on Earth.
That's a good one. So in response, the time engineers at Montauk traveled back to 1950, persuading Duncan's original father, Alexander Cameron, to father another son. Following this unconventional procedure, they transferred Duncan's soul into the newly born child, who is now known as Duncan Cameron.
So much going on here. There's just like I thought I was fairly familiar with the Philadelphia experiment.
No, we're beyond the Philadelphia experiment.
No, that's what I'm saying, and it's surrounding goings ons. But holy shit, man!
Yeah, no, they took a soul from a guy who was rapidly aging and went back in time and convinced his dad to have another child, and then put that soul in that baby and waited for it to grow up and come back.
You're like, you guys can do that? They're like, yeah. And then he's pointing to Soul Ripper 8,000. Like, yeah, we were gonna go with the 9,000, but we just figured we'd let them work the kinks out on that before we jump
and roll electric on the side, or Lockheed. So yes, in response, the time engineers traveled back to 1950. Yes, we talked that. The rejuvenated Duncan assumed the role of the key psychic, operating in the Montauk chair, essential for generating the required frequency for time travel and mind control activities. Allegedly, Duncan, along with Stuart Swerdlow, participated as Montauk Boys programmers, a disturbing aspect of the program that continues to trouble them deeply. The abrupt termination of the Montauk program occurred when Junior, a Bigfoot-like creature, manifested through Duncan, wreaking havoc on the base. Individuals involved in the Montauk program underwent extensive mind control sessions, erasing their memories with Montauk technology. Despite their imperfect methods, memories gradually resurfaced over time. Duncan is presently in the gradual processes of recovering his memories. This is an older article. Duncan is presently recovering his memories, recalling experiences on the USS Eldridge and acknowledging the fraternal connection with Al. His journey to retrieve these memories has been challenging, conflicting with his true nature. The hopes remain that with time, the genuine account of the events at Montauk will come to light. Yeah. I hope you guys were kind of paying attention because I accidentally gave away like 3 answers.
Oh, fuck.
For questions that are coming up. Yeah. Did not mean to, and then realized it as I was doing it and tried to press on like nothing. So we'll see. See how well you guys
shouldn't have told him.
We'll see how well you guys paid attention. Preston Nichols, we've heard that name a couple of times. He worked for a defense contractor in the 1970s in Long Island, and he was studying telepathy. He was having pretty good results, and he noticed that subjects' brainwaves worked like radio waves. However, he did notice that the subject's brainwaves appeared to be quote unquote blocked at certain times a day. He said what happened was like at a certain time of day, it would just shut down and they could not.
Yeah, that's Willis time.
Right? I legit. So, I made a very similar joke. Yours is funnier, but I made a very similar joke. After some time, he brought in some radio equipment and monitored the blackouts. He noticed that broadcasts between 420 and 450 megahertz were detected during the brainwave blackouts. After roughly 20 minutes, the signal would fade and the psychics would be able to resume their work. I just put Union 20. Like that's what they were just like, nah, it's our coffee and smoke break. We're done. But your joke is funnier. That is Willie's time. Nichols, who was proficient in radio and electromagnetics, built a mobile transceiver and tracked the signal to Montauk Point. Question number 7. What was the source of the signal? Was it A? Oh, does anybody want to stab before I?
No.
No,
No, I'm good.
Okay.
You guys weren't paying that close of attention, fuckers.
What
Apparently
was
not.
the source of the signal? Was it A, a radio antenna, B, a radar tower, C, someone with a large ham radio setup, or D, a TV station doing the emergency broadcast tests?
Ham.
I'm gonna go with D.
I'm gonna go D, TV station doing the emergency broadcast test.
Yep. Yeah.
All right.
That's gonna be mine too. Shit, I'll
You
change
You
can
can
it.
pick the same answer.
No,
Yeah, you can
we're
Yeah, you totally
too
can.
close of a game. I'm gonna try and pull ahead here. I'm gonna go with the radar station.
Radar tower. Okay. So Nichols tracked the signal to Montauk Point to an Air Force base with a large radar tower.
God damn it.
Yeah,
This is horse
250
shit.
points to Cole. What's the score at now?
That just put Cole ahead 1,000 to 750. With if you said 12, that should be 5 questions remaining.
Yeah. Maybe. It might be 11. I might have misnumbered. Nope.
Well, it's close enough to where it doesn't matter. 4 or 5 remaining.
Yeah, it might be more. Let's. I told you, I'm borderline.
There's 4 to 17 remaining.
Yeah, there's some questions remaining. So
Greg's giving away answers. Can't even tell how many questions there are.
and I
Jeez.
thought I was on top of this, buddy. I thought I was on top of this. I told Jesse, I was like, I feel good. Shouldn't have, but I did.
Shouldn't have.
Yeah, because man, when you guys get out of here, I really lay into him about these things.
Yeah.
So.
He's like, the show quality is decreasing. We're gonna have to replace you. Everybody, welcome Hello Paul.
I would only hire Paul back on if he starts drinking as much vodka as he did back in the heyday.
Yeah.
Which I know he won't, so you know.
You won't.
All right, Paul. When you listen to this episode, just know.
If you guys are hiring, I got a liquor
Replace your
cabinet
beer
downstairs.
anytime if you become an unhealthy alcoholic.
All right, so a few more years passed when one of Preston Nichols' friends contacted him and informed him that the base was now decommissioned and abandoned, so feel free to do some urban exploration. Probably not what he said, but he got the
I was
same
gonna say,
signal.
well, that seems like a kind of a cool free pass to get. Yeah, I don't know. Go fuck around, dude. Be careful.
So Preston went and checked it out when he noticed it was indeed abandoned, but it was in shambles. It was an absolute mess. Looking at the footage from the base from 1994, it does look fucked up. It looks like absolutely destroyed. During his exploration, Preston Nichols ran across a nervous fella who was living in one of the outbuildings on the base, and he just thought he was like some bum. And the guy claimed to be a technician who worked at the base, but fled when everybody else fled. Question number 9: From
but
what
he didn't know the war was over.
Question number 9: From what did he flee? Was it A, the swarm, B, the Russians, C, the beast, or D, the darkness?
Or E, the cannon.
The cannon.
The early 2000s.
That's question number. That's
mixtapes.
question number 8. I said
Oh,
question.
question
9
number
'cause I
8.
mis-
Okay, I thought it was
Question
9.
question 8 because I misnumbered these. I'm gonna have to fix it as I go. I apologize.
I see.
Can I get the answers one more time?
Absolutely. From what did this nervous fella flee? Was it A, the swarm, B, the Russians, C, the beast, or D, the darkness?
I'm gonna say the swarm, just because it sounds creepy.
A, the swarm.
I'll go with D then. The darkness.
D, the
Darkness.
Okay. No points awarded to anybody. He claimed to flee when the beast showed up and tore through the facility and caused the entire project to be shut down. When pressed further about the beast, the technician called Preston Nichols by name and informed him that he, in fact, was part of the Montauk project.
Shit.
Wow.
He's a Montauk boy.
Yeah. So,
Just trying to make it.
how fucked up would that make you, though? You're just like out there exploring. You're like, man, this base used to mess with my experiments. And you get in there and you find this like bum, and he's like, yeah, you don't remember the beast? And you're like, no, why the fuck would I remember the beast? And he's like, Jesse, remember, you were here. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd shit. I would shit
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
would
yeah.
throw up in that order.
I did shit. I mean, what? Nothing.
What?
That
What?
would terrify me.
Who shit myself?
I got so scared I shit his pants. So, within the walls of the base, following the termination of the Phoenix Project and all those involved, they found themselves in a dilemma. Nearly 2 decades had been devoted to the development of mind control and stealth technologies, despite Congress's reluctance to endorse their use. Undeterred, the scientists turned to one entity that they believed would be interested in further research and development of the devices created by the Phoenix Project, the military. So this stopped being a, hey, we're doing this. This became, hey, you guys do this now. And when you give the military carte blanche on something like that, a lot of fucked up shit happens.
Like, so just make this happen by any means necessary, or
Well, I mean, we've made jokes already this episode about how bloated the military budget is.
Mhm.
You think how much of that's gonna not get lost in projects like this, where they're like, dude, can we mind control somebody? What are we gonna do? Let's feed them 100 times a dose of LSD for 90 days, and then we'll just psychosexually torture them for 90 days, and then
where do you want to keep them? Top floor of a skyscraper, probably good.
we'll put them in a coma. And then the whole time they're in a coma, we're just going to play like a 2-sentence message on repeat under their pillow so they hear it the entire time. And then when they wake up, we're going to hit them with electroshock treatment. Once a day, or once a week, like the recommended dosage? No, 4 times a day, 10 times the recommended dosage. What's the point? Seem cool? Like that's literally the shit that these guys are budgeted for. So, and you wonder, how do they get the money for that? That's gonna be a question, and I'm not gonna give it away. So,
I fucking love to see Hella just go on. He's so passionate about it, dude. It drives me.
So the military expressed enthusiasm for a weapons system that could incapacitate an enemy without conventional warfare. What? They agreed to resume the project and establish the Phoenix Project personnel in an isolated location conducive to proper experimentation. They said, we're going to put you weirdos in a weirdo hole so you guys can do your weirdo science, you fucking weirdos. And that's exactly what they did. The military was committed to providing the necessary equipment and personnel for the project's operation. One crucial item for the equipment was the SAGE radar system. Research had revealed that the radio signals in the 420 to 450 megahertz range were essential for penetrating the human consciousness for mind control attempts.
Okay, really quick. I have to stop you because I was thinking about one, but I needed dibs 2 band names. One, Penetrating the Human Consciousness.
That's their album name.
And the other, okay, how about band name is Weird Hole, and the album name is Penetrating the Human Consciousness.
I think Courtney.
I was like, man, I need to dibs this band name, and then you said Penetrating the Human Consciousness. I was like, fuck, there are too many good choices here.
Yeah, I'd like you to listen to the debut single "Penetrating the Human Consciousness" off the same title album by Weird Hole.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be some screamy, like early AFI sounding music.
I picture a really weird indie band with that name on. That's just me though.
Weird Hole.
Weird Hole.
Thank
Weird
you.
Hole.
We are Weird Hole. We're playing Kyle's Basement.
Like a ska,
Absolutely it.
a ska band
What the
or
fuck
something
is
like
up,
that.
Denny's? This is what the fuck is up, Denny's? We're Weird Hole.
We have to be out of here by 10 o'clock so his parents can go to bed on time.
Thank you for letting us play in the parking lot of this barbecue place next door to the haunted house. That's a real one.
Yeah, honestly, I was about to say I've been to one of those, so.
I played one of those.
I was just say Greg and I have played. That's mainly where Greg and I played.
Mm-hmm. We were in a band. We weren't in a good band. So let's see here. Sage radar system. We talked about that. The Sage radar systems operated within these frequencies, and they could be easily converted into a massive radio sonde, basically like a pointed weapon that they could use the radio waves as a weapon. Moreover, since the Sage radar system was already obsolete, them having it and having access to it at this Air Force base was like, didn't fuck with national security. They were like, everybody's got this now. Like at the time, yeah, it was cutting edge. Now we've got different radar and we don't need this shit. So yeah, go ahead, fuck with it. What do we care? Montauk Air Force Base, situated within Fort Hero on Montauk Point, Long Island, New York, proved to be an ideal location for the Phoenix Project scientists. Isolated and mothballed, it came equipped with a Sage radar system that could be readily transformed into a radio sonde. Establishing themselves at the reopened Montauk Air Force Base, the scientists dubbed their new endeavor Phoenix 2, later known as the Montauk Project. Project financing did not come from the military, which only supplied manpower and materials, but from external sources. This was because Congress had ordered the project to disband, forcing it to operate independently. Basically said, we're not going to fund you. You can't be a thing. And they were like, fine. When dad says no, you go ask mom.
Yeah.
And the military was like, absolutely. We'll give you the manpower and all the resources, but you got to pay for it.
Got to pay the troll toll.
The circumstances surrounding the financing of the Phoenix 2 project were shrouded in mystery, with indications pointing to private sources and rumors of potential Nazi involvement. There was question number, I don't know, 9?
9.
Gotta be 9.
It's 9.
Yeah. Fixing that. Question number 9. Closest to the answer gets 250 points. 1,000 if you can nail it. Nazi gold was allegedly smuggled out of Europe during World War II. How much did they smuggle?
We in
America
pounds,
is a question.
And yeah, in U.S. dollars and
dollars.
We'll say
The unit
we'll
of
say
measurement.
U.S. dollars.
Okay.
U.S. dollars.
Okay,
US
in
dollars.
2024 money or back then?
At the time. At the time. Those
okay.
are all valid questions. Those are all valid questions. We're going with money.
That's why we say if you have questions about questions,
ask them.
Make sure you ask questions.
Also,
Either
it's
way.
the first time that I've not wanted to say 1,000 with a German accent for some reason.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's going to hit quite the same.
It's the same.
I did not see that coming.
Question 9. Nazi gold was allegedly smuggled out of Europe during World War II. How much?
Let's go $12 million.
$12 million. Cole?
I'm gonna guess 1.2 billion.
1.2 billion. Cole is going to get the 250 points.
God.
All right.
Are you ready for this number?
Yes.
Yes.
Allegedly, $10 billion
Jesus.
in gold.
That was gonna be my guess, but I figured that was a way overshoot. I should have gone with it.
Gotta go with your gut, man.
Allegedly, huh?
Allegedly.
Yeah.
It'd have to be a sick ostrich.
$10 billion
Two guys to
in
fucking
gold.
average.
Allegedly, $10 billion in gold was smuggled out of Europe at the end of World War II, and that played a role in financing this, with a train carrying the gold blown up in an Allied-occupied French tunnel, resulting in the death of 51 American soldiers. General George Patton, furious at the sabotage, could not determine the culprits or the fate of the gold. George S. Patton, the one they made the fucking movie about, lost $10 billion in U.S. gold.
Sounds like a job for the monuments, man.
Get Nicolas Cage on it.
That's a nowadays, like, hey, we just lost a couple trill.
Yeah.
Whoopsie
Like,
daisies.
like September 10th, 2001. Missing $2.3 trillion. Fucking oops.
Where'd that go?
Yeah. Oh, look out.
Cheney's all, get George down there reading the books with the kids. I got something to do.
Keep him busy. I'm doing something.
Jingle the keys over here while you're paying attention.
Tacos rule.
They told him the second plane hit, and he said, "Oh, come on, can I finish the book?" I want to see how it ends. So some evidence also suggested that after the gold funds were depleted, the Krupp family financially supported the project, known for their munitions factories during both world wars. So the Krupp family owned munitions factories that invented what was called the Paris gun in World War One, which was capable of shelling Paris from roughly 70 miles away.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a kick in the knackers to name your gun after the place you're shooting with it.
Yeah. Like that's like knocking somebody out and you're like, what'd you hit him with? Oh, I hit him with my Jesse. And just fucking, yeah, you broke Jesse's jaw. Yeah, I hit him with a right Jesse.
Oh, get my Jack Johnson and Tom O'Leary right here.
Mics are on. Check one.
Yep, they're on. They don't like no feedback.
In late 1971, Montauk Air Force Base, though still officially listed as decommissioned by the military, was reopened, marking the commencement of Phoenix 2. The project brought together the original Phoenix Project scientists, military personnel, government workers, and civilians from various corporations. I feel like that's an important one to note because that's just ambiguous as fuck. Civilians from various corporations. So why not just say they started hiring people? Why do we have distinctions for all these different things and then people? Like, I don't know. That just, it seems ambiguous and I don't like it. Among the military servicemen were Air Force radar technicians familiar with the SAGE radar system from the 1960s. These technicians noted a change in the base's overall atmosphere based on the frequency and pulse of the duration of the radar system. Remember we talked about the pulse with the wire during the wiping method?
Mhm.
It has to be pulsed. It has to be pulsed. According to an interview with Preston Nichols that I actually listened to with on like Coast to Coast or whatever, he was very specific. He was like, you get a window with the hertz, 420 to 450. Like you don't have to be as dead on there. You could be within that window. He said the pulsing has to be specific and intentional, on and off, when it is and when it isn't. And I think that's interesting. The Phoenix personnel deemed this seemingly minor observation significant, realizing that alternating the radar pulses rate with and width could superficially influence people's thoughts and emotions. So fucking with this radar, they made people feel things and think things. This discovery led to experiments to determine how different frequencies elicited distinct responses. Excuse me. Test subjects, including Duncan Cameron, remember him, were placed in a small room at the base, subjected to the SAGE's radar system, microwaves and radio waves. They basically had this radar tower on this island, and he was positioned below it so that he would project up and out the radar to like increase it. Notably, the entire base's mood would follow the signal output from the SAGE radar. So if he would like think angry thoughts, people on the base would start getting angry and upset. If he would think happy thoughts, a lot of people on the base would start getting happy and excited. He could control their mood, basically. Having demonstrated that the SAGE radar could affect emotional states, the next objective was to control a person's thoughts. Tests were conducted by changing the radar system's pulse rate and amplitude to match various biological functions, enabling scientists to exert control over individuals' thoughts and actions. So basically, remember how we talked about thought waves were like radio waves and they would get blacked out? They were basically hitting you with the same wave so that it would hit in the same spot as these particular thoughts, so that it would give you these thoughts. They were basically simulating the thoughts in your brain. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad because it doesn't to me.
Does, but it doesn't.
Yeah. So the health risks of exposing these individuals to high levels of microwave radiation and intense radio waves became evident. Many test subjects suffered from internal damage to the lungs and brain, primarily caused by, quote, burning radiation. No shit. They're fucking microwaving people to make them feel things. To address this, the scientists reversed the radar antenna, broadcasting burning radiation upwards and using non-burning radiation for tests, discovering that it could alter moods and thoughts without harming the subjects. So they're like, oh shit, there's a way to do this without hurting everybody. Nobody go home. And they're like, why didn't we do that before? And they were like, honestly, we didn't know we could. Like, nobody was like, hey, we're microwaving these dudes. That's fine. It melted a chocolate bar. What's it do to a person? Doesn't matter. Like, what are you doing? By 1973, the experiments reached a new
Whatever I want, baby.
government funding. By 1973, the experiments reached a new stage, focusing on large groups of people. By the units of the U.S. Army invited for R&R unknowingly became the subjects of mood-altering experiments. Fucking Edgewood. Does anybody remember that?
That sounds familiar, but
Bad Trip to Edgewood. It was a documentary on YouTube that you can watch. It was done in like the late 70s, early 80s, and it's about a government facility called the Edgewood Arsenal in Maryland, where they did like experiments on soldiers without telling them what they were doing. So, same. And that one has like verified documented proof that they were doing that. This is more like we've heard because people remembered because they saw the movie about the events. So yes, the soldiers were tested on without them knowing, as were the residents of Long Island, New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut. The goal was to build a database of pulse settings and their effects, eventually leading to the construction of a control panel capable of broadcasting preset signals for consistent mind control effects. As the scientists honed their techniques, they found they could create various effects beyond mood swings. Programs were developed to increase crime rates, incite violence, induce mass panic in animals, and disable vehicles by burning out their electrical functions. You see, now right there, they're like, yo, dude, we can short circuit a fucking car. And then somebody else is like, yo, point it at Frank and see if it makes him sad. Yeah, Frank's feeling bad, man. He's not having a good time, and I fucking get it. They're microwaving him.
Oh, poor Frank, dude.
Yeah, they're like pointed at New York. What happened? Oh fuck, it's 9/11. No, we're like 50 years too early.
Anything's possible with time travel, though.
Yeah, but like I said, time travel will be a theme of the night. Also, having a fucking control panel for this, imagine just having a radar dish that's like spinning above your head and you sit there with like a panel with a bunch of fucking baseball bat toggle switches and you're like, everybody's sad, everybody's happy, everybody's horny, everybody's hungry. Like, what the fuck?
Like, hell yeah, this is dope, man.
Yeah, imagine just like tripping and knocking all the switches on at once. People are just out there popping. What the fuck?
Oh shit, I left it on for too long.
Yeah, whoops. I left
like
it
I
in
imagined
too
a
long.
panel with a bunch of different like faces on it, like happy, sad, whatnot, and just giving
Yeah.
giving a toddler a Red Bull just to smack at the control panel and see what happens.
it uses
It's like when you go to the
emojis.
hospital and they're like, "How are you feeling?" And it's like
Yeah.
1 through 10.
Yeah. Oh god. Just a baby. Everybody feeling baby emotions. Everybody's just incredibly hungry and really pissed off for no good goddamn reason. But yes, I mean, I think that's kind of a neat, like, I get the idea of like, yo, should we have a radar dish that makes people feel things and makes people think things? Like, no, we shouldn't, but what if they have it? If they have it, we need it. So we know how to defend against it because we got to build the weapon. We got to build a gun before we can build a bulletproof vest. So, like, but that's DARPA. That's what DARPA's for. The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. Those dudes are the guys that invented the internet in the 60s because they wanted to play MMORPGs online with each other. And they couldn't. So they invented the internet so they could play like World of Warcraft.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, nerds being nerds gets technology done. Like, good on them.
It's pretty badass.
Yeah,
pretty badass, man.
You give a bunch of benevolent nerds fucking a government budget, and they're like, the internet. And you give a bunch of fucking dicks an unlimited government budget, and they're like, microwave New York.
Yes.
And it sounds like a gross exaggeration. It sounds like I'm being hyperbolic, but I'm not. So yeah, they were trying to find mind control effects and make a control panel. Programs were developed to increase crime rates, incite violence, and induce mass panic in animals, and disable vehicles by burning out their electrical functions. We talked about that. Some of the deers were like running down the street, like out of the woods and onto Main Street and just throwing themselves into like shop windows, which is, yeah, like,
I
and
mean,
the government.
I don't know
I
about
don't
you
want to live
guys.
on this planet anymore.
I don't know about you guys, but here in Ohio, we got some suicidal ass deer. Like these things
you
are
don't.
dumb as shit.
No, you don't, dude. You got the government fucking with them. You got
Yeah.
radar dishes.
I'd believe it too, but there's some dumbass deer out there around here.
Oh, I believe it. I've seen it firsthand. They're insane. Imagine just like walking down Main Street though, and then like 4 deer come barreling out of the woods and just start hucking themselves through plate glass windows at the front of buildings. You're just like, what are they fucking running from? That would be my first thing. Actually, my first thing would be, oh shit, look at that. And then my second thing would be, what are they running from?
Oh shit, look at that.
Yeah. So, yeah. The Montauk Project had achieved a reliable method for controlling the thoughts of others, prompting the desire to create a device for precise manipulation. So right now they're doing like broad strokes. They need to like really dial it in. The scope of the Montauk Project was on the brink of expanding beyond everyone's expectations. As per the Montauk Project author's account, which is Preston Nichols, he wrote a book. ITT Worldwide Communications Corporation, owned by the Krupp family, constructed a mind-reading device. This innovative device had the capability to translate the electromagnetic field, commonly known as the aura, surrounding the human body into a visible format. The crucial component of this groundbreaking device was a Cray 1 supercomputer, which converted the collected data into a comprehensible form for individuals. The technological origins of this device remain mysterious. Da, da, da. According to the book, some basic technological information for its creation was allegedly provided by extraterrestrial beings. These beings, identified as the Syrians from the Sirius star system, contributed to the technology's development, although the reasons behind their assistance are left unexplained. Within the Montauk Project, researchers recognized that this mind-reading device could be easily repurposed into a mind-control device. By connecting the device to a series of computers, electrical coils, and the SAGE radar system, they engineered a potent transmitter capable of reducing risks for individuals undergoing invisibility and time travel experiments.
Jesus.
Yeah. So thanks to aliens,
Yeah.
thanks to aliens, we can time travel, or have been able to time travel.
When do we get it though?
Once the military application is gone, so once aliens visit a country other than the United States, because I'm pretty sure we're the only country they can see from space. That's why they always land here, except for District 9. Question number 10.
Great movie.
Thank you. I had nothing to do with it, but I feel like it was a good pull. Question number 10. What was the name of the device that these guys created? Does anybody want to take a stab at it before I...
No.
Not
I'll
everybody.
pass.
Everybody wants to pass. Okay. How about this? You guys tell me if you want to stab. I'll stop asking. Question 10. What was the name of the device they created? Was it A, the electric throne, B, the Montauk chair, C, the radar recliner, or D, the Cray 1 electrical human interface platform?
Oh man.
Question 10, so I believe...
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Yeah, okay. Take your time, just making sure.
I get him one more time.
Absolutely. Your options are A, the electric throne, B, the Montauk chair, C, the radar recliner, or D, the Cray 1 electrical human interface platform.
I'm gonna go with the Montauk chair.
Montauk chair.
Then I'll go with A.
You're going to go with A, the electric throne.
Yep.
Cole is going to get the 250 points.
Yeah.
It is the Montauk chair.
Right.
That was one of the answers I gave away earlier.
I don't remember that
heard
one.
it. That's why I asked for him again. I'm like, I thought I heard that earlier.
Yeah, I skipped over it once and then accidentally read it a second time and was like, oops.
Greg, how many more questions are there?
Great question.
I'll take a stab at it.
3. There are 3 more.
Okay,
I was
Isaac,
g-
technically you don't need to stab yet. If you get the
Oh, wait.
next 3 correct, it's a wait. Go ahead, Greg.
Oh yeah,
Is
no,
there 3?
It's 3. It's 3.
Okay. So if you get the next 3 correct, it's a tie.
Okay.
So if you get the next 3,
All
so
right.
basically if Cole gets the next one or neither of you do, you need to start stabbing.
All right.
But it is 1500 to 750, Cole.
Well, let's see. In potential points here coming up, I have 250, 1000 for a closest 2.
Okay.
I've got another closest 2. And then a multiple choice that you could
So
stab
you
at.
know how it works. You're
Yep,
down
yep.
by 750. You plenty of time, as we like to say.
Absolutely. So,
But then also like hurry up.
plenty of time. Like, okay, I can eat. So this transformed device, named the Montauk chair, became operational around 1974. Linked to a Cray 1 and an IBM 360 computer, the researchers seated physically active individuals such as Duncan Cameron in the Montauk chair and attempted to transmit their thoughts to a similar setup back at the ITT Corporation in Southampton, Long Island. One of the cool things I heard in the interview with Preston Nichols was that there's 2 huge, Cole, you're an electrician. He said there's 2 huge megawatt lines running into and out of this base still, as of the time of that interview, which was like 1994, I think. But is a megawatt, that's a fucking shit ton of power, right?
That's a metric shitload.
Yeah, he said there's no reason that anything on that base should be using that much.
Like that's how they classify like hydro dams and shit in megawatts.
Jesus fuck.
Yeah.
That's a lot of power.
Yeah, that's a fucking shit ton of power. Okay. No, that's good to know though, because he was talking about it still being there and he said there's nothing on this base now that it's been decommissioned and everything that should facilitate a megawatt of power coming in and going back out. So I'm glad you were here that was perfect that you were here to explain that. That's awesome. Over a year of experimentation and research, during which the numerous challenges related to the transmitter feedback had to be overcome, the Montauk Project researchers successfully developed a device capable of projecting a person's thoughts to a remote location. However,
goddamn,
a new obstacle emerged called time glitches. These time glitches posed interference and disruptions to thought transmissions between Montauk and Southampton. They resulted from psychics projecting a reality different from our own, causing disruptions in the flow of time and severing the link between the 2 chairs. Basically, they had a receiver in Southampton, Long Island, and they had Duncan in this chair strapped down between an antenna that goes underground and this radar dish above ground. And he's in this like little metal box in a metal chair, and they electrocute the shit out of him in different frequencies and make him think different things and then broadcast it through the thing. And what was happening was in the receiver, the object would show up, and they said first it would show up as like a 2D picture, and then it would become a 3D picture, and then it would become a hologram, and then it would materialize physically. So you think of an apple, and through this 4-step process, an apple would materialize in Southampton in this receiver. Pretty fucking nuts, right?
You're just all sitting there. You're like, all right, Tim, send it over. And you're like looking at the receiver, and it's all
just a middle finger.
all right, Tim. Nice middle finger. Great. Thanks a lot, Tim. Go ahead and actually send it on over.
It's a dick.
What did I say ever?
Why did you send me a
for you,
severed
Tim.
penis?
He's just on the other end of the radio going, ah, it sends matter. It sends matter.
It's my penis. Send it back.
I should have imagined another one.
It's the only one I've seen. It's the only one I could picture. So yes, the result. They resulted. Yeah, they would think of something else and they would fuck it all up. To address these issues, the Montauk researchers undertook a redesign and reconstruction of the chair, closely following the original prototype and construction methods provided by the Syrians, from Sirius. Not so serious now. The second generation Montauk chair utilized multiple delta T or delta time coils to generate the required energy fields. The chair was also shielded from an external interference thanks to redesigned coils powering the chair and creating electromagnetic fields. Cole, is any of this making sense?
Not
I mean,
really.
All right, that's fair.
With the magnetic fields and the coils, yeah, that's how motors and generators work, is with coiling copper or conductors and spinning a magnet inside of it.
Yeah,
But that's about the extent of my expertise on that.
but outside of that,
Not really into top secret government projects at work, you know.
all right. Well, if you get to, let me know. So after a series of alignments and adjustments, the new chair became operational in early 1976. The subsequent developments were nothing short of astonishing. At this juncture, Duncan Cameron became the focal point of all the experiments and tests involving the Montauk chair. Duncan, a potent psychic, played a crucial role in the various phases of the Montauk experiments due to his alleged quote-unquote special training. The exact source of this training, mentioned in the books as possibly coming from the CIA or the NSA, enabled Duncan to attain an altered form of consciousness. It has been noted, and I've gone on record saying it and quoting it, that the CIA has said that astral projection, remote viewing, telekinesis, things like that are possible by anybody, but there are people who are more sensitive to it, who can do it better. But it's like a muscle. The more you work it out, the stronger it gets, the better you'll be able to use it. So if you're like, nah, it's not a thing and I don't believe it, it's not going to work for you. But if you're like, it's a thing and I believe it, and you start practicing, it'll be a thing. It'll be a skill and a muscle that you develop.
How funny is how closely this mirrors the Institute, Isaac?
So much. Good telekinesis and mind reading. Those are the two things in the book.
It's a really good book, you guys.
Yeah. I'm an idiot. I'm over here doing Kegels, trying to work on my muscles over here, and I could be doing telekinesis.
I mean, you can still knock a lamp off a table, and that's pretty cool. So this altered state involves suppressing his conscious mind and allowing a more primitive and highly suggestible mind to take control. The primitive state proved to be remarkably controllable, focusing its power on a subject and displaying greater capabilities than the conscious mind. After a year of tests, the Montauk chair demonstrated flawless functionality. The researchers, having successfully transmitted thoughts, now aim to explore the possibilities, creating solid objects. The concept involved Duncan visualizing an object and, if the transmitter provided sufficient power, materializing it somewhere on the base. So it wouldn't show up at the transmitter. It would show up near the transmitter. So, like, you could be sitting there working on base near the transmitter, typing away at your desk, and an apple materializes next to you. The fuck is that? Ghost apple. It's yours now. You got an apple.
Ghost apple.
Yeah, you got to tell somebody, hey, this apple showed up out of thin air. They're like, okay, thanks. We'll let fucking Duncan know, and he needs to, like, zero it in. But
would you take a bite out of that apple, though? Would you trust that air ghost apple?
Would you not? Like,
yeah, I'm eating that apple.
I'm gonna try it.
At least a bite.
Or is
you gotta try.
I like to think Duncan's on the other end. Like, yeah, fuck you, Carol. Get my paycheck a week late.
Right? He's doing it again. Just a bag of shit shows up on her desk. He's like,
it just always lands in HR and payroll. Those are the only two places.
So, where were we? Yeah. While the process was not consistently precise, leading to some intangible or fleeting objects, Duncan would create permanent ones with adequate power. See, again, that sounds like he's fucking with somebody. Like he made the glass of water materialize, and when they went to reach for it, it disappeared. He was like, "Got," and then moved on with his life.
Gotcha, bitch.
Yeah. But again, with adequate power, they could make them materialize. Which again, that would make sense having a megawatt line coming in. That would probably supply adequate power. The size and type of the objects seem limited only by his imagination, reportedly even materializing entire buildings during these experiments. So he would make he would make a whole new building show up on base. Which again, if you're not able to like carefully place it, like Sim City, I feel like just making a building materialize, especially when we know through the technology in the Philadelphia experiment, it's possible to bond with somebody, a person on a molecular level. So you're making this fucking thing appear. You made a typewriter appear. You thought you were being helpful to somebody, and now that shit's like growing out of the side of Susan and HR's head because you're not accurate. It seems dangerous and reckless. Following the success of the object creation, Montauk researchers escalated their tests by delving into the direct manipulation of the human mind. The initial experiments involved, quote, the seeing eye, where Duncan, given a lock of hair or another object from a person directly, could concentrate on it and then was able to see through their eyes and hear through their ears. And he could do this with anybody in the world, regardless of their location.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of these are similar to the astral projection experiments that were done around the same time. The US was kind of really wild with this. They would start down a path, like, say, mind control, and then they'd be like, oh, shit, astral projection. So they'd assemble a team right here at the fork in the road, and they'd get this team of scientists together, and they'd be like, okay, here's a bunch of Nazi gold for money. Go down that road and see what you guys can find. And that team would go down their little side road, and they'd keep going down their mind control road. And that team on the side road would run into a fork in the road, and they'd be like, okay, well, fuck, we can do electromagnetic, or we can do like psychosexual torture. Well, so they'll assemble another team, and they'll give them their share of their Nazi gold, and you guys split up, and you guys go down this road, and we'll go down this road, and it's fractal, and it goes like that. So every time you think, hey, man, I wonder if they did something like this, they fucking did something like that because they had the money, they had the time, they had the resources. Why not? You got to know. Somebody's got to have the answer to that question. You Google it, and you're like, at what temperature do people explode in a microwave? They fucking know because they microwaved New York, and somebody popped, and they went, oh, shit. Medium low is the setting.
The baked potato setting does it for
them. Yeah. Popcorn will make people pop. So, yeah, hit them with the thaw.
Hit him with the thaw, the defrost.
Yeah. So subsequently, the tests evolved further, with Duncan attempting to influence the thoughts and actions of others. By protecting his thoughts, or by projecting his thoughts outward, he could effectively take over someone else's mind, essentially programming them to comply with his desires. Further experimentation revealed that the potential to affect large groups of people, both animals, induced. They were able to fuck with like large groups of people and animals. That's what I was trying to say. They could project it outwards, like as a crowd control device, and make people want to turn around and go home, or make people want to riot, or make people want to fuck or eat or do whatever. Which, like, if this technology exists, you know, like, think of it once it gets into like the capitalist world, once it comes out of the military application, and like we've already got police departments who can use subsonic crowd repellent technology, where they have like speakers and it plays like a low bass note and it fucks everybody up and they disperse because it makes them nauseous and anxious and sick to their stomach and shit. Like, that already exists. Like, that's out there. People are using it. That's not anything new. So, which means these guys who are fucking with this shit in the 50s and 60s have timed out with it. They're like, we've used it. Other countries know we have it. It's time to give it to the police and move on to something else. And that's what they did with that. You can see the effects of this technology still. Again, electrical devices were manipulated to malfunction, short out, become useless. Telekinetic effects emerged, showcasing Duncan's ability to move objects and shatter windows and wreak havoc in entire rooms. Despite these extraordinary discoveries, the Montauk research team was not done. By 1979, the Montauk Project was poised to not only manipulate people's minds, but was on the verge of altering the very flow of time itself. In the early months of 1979, experiments involving thought projection yielded a fascinating revelation. Frequently, Duncan's transmitted thoughts vanished abruptly, initially attributed to a malfunction. However, it was observed that many of Duncan's projected ideas materialized or occurred hours later or even before.
Mm.
Kind of like the ship.
So yeah, so it's not even just a matter of distance now. Now it's also he can go through time.
Yes. So it would show up near the transmitter and then it would disappear. And then he would show up later and try and make it appear, but it wouldn't appear. Because it had
He's
already,
like, I'm just looking for Mark Hamill.
yeah, because he'd already done it.
Beam me up, Scotty.
No,
All
that
right,
was
Jesse.
that was Duncan's brother Al Bielek that met Mark Hamill. Let's see. Yes, this hinted at Duncan's ability to manipulate the flow of time or operate beyond its conventional constraints. Further investigation disclosed that the existing experimental setup lacks sufficient power to effectively bend and shift time. To achieve mastery over the temporal flow, researchers introduced the Orion Delta T for time antenna, rumored to be based on designs provided by aliens from the Orion constellation. The specific star system remained unknown. Much like the Syrians, the reasons behind the Orion sharing the plans with the Montauk Project remained unclear, presumed to involve some sort of private agenda. Basically, they think they're doing it for their own self-worth, possibly establishing like a return point here for them. The massive Orion Delta T antenna was situated in a substantial underground chamber beneath Montauk Air Force Base, standing 100 to 150 feet tall, with the chamber nearly 300 feet underground. So this was a fucking massive antenna.
Yeah.
Placing the Montauk chair above this antenna and below the transmitter created a null field, eliminating the interference from fields generated by the transmitter and other devices. After the installation of the new antenna spanning from 1979 to 1980 and calibrating Duncan to the updated equipment, it was discovered that Duncan could exert almost total control over the flow of time. By concentrating on a specific date, he could open portals to nearly any time. These portals resembled large spirals or vortexes, featuring circular tunnels with light at the far end. Looking through the portal revealed a smaller portal or window on the other side. Walking through the tunnel transported a person to the time connected to the tunnel. The tunnels weren't always straight, curving as one progressed towards the exit. Power outages occasionally caused tunnels to vanish, leaving individuals stranded in the time stream with almost no means of return. How fucking terrifying would that be? You're at work and this guy's strapped up to a chair between 550 feet of antennas, and they electrocute him a little bit, and then he opens up a spiral vortex in front of you, and they're like, go ahead and go in. And you're like,
come on, baby, just jump on in.
You're like, but what? And they're like, no, see the other side there, that little hole? And you're like, yeah. They're like, that's the other side. You just got to walk to it. And you're like, okay, how long is it going to take? And they're like, dunno, time's not really a matter. It's not really a construct. You just walk. And so you get in this time portal, and it's caused so much stress on the electrical grid that it just goes and it shuts down. And now you're just stuck in a wormhole. Hopefully he can think of that exact moment in time again and open it up and get you out. But you're just stuck in a time tunnel. You're lost. You're in the fucking thing with what is it, Dr. Peabody and Sherman and all the clocks just falling forever, like Daryl or like Ozzie Smith at the tunnel in The Simpsons. Like, you're just lost in space time.
Yeah, that's a trip to think about. I always think about that, like when I see like movies of people who like are stuck in some impossible place like that, and they're like, "I'm gonna find a way to get back." It's like, fucking how?
I mean, man,
How? You're like, yeah, what? Do you have a space time continuum portal? Because if not, like,
I'm lost at sea. I'm gonna find a way back to shore. Not me. I'm gonna float. I'm gonna try and look like a wounded seal to get this over with.
Sounds like he's a Doctor Strange without the cool ring, you know?
Yeah.
Right? But imagine, like, if they are trapped in like a time portal like that, where the tunnel's shut on either ends and they're just stuck in the netting of space-time continuums.
it's like purgatory.
Right. But they've been there for what? They're still trying to get out. It's been 5 minutes for them. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
it's been a billion years and they don't know. They'll have no idea. They're there forever. Forever. They're in the fourth dimension. Dude, they're outside space and time. like that scene in Family Guy where Stewie accidentally wiped out the universe and then had to like re-blow up the Big Bang. Like that's where they are. They're in that white area.
You say forever. Do you think they'd ever starve or anything? Or is that also like a time construct?
I think it's a time construct because, well, I mean,
If no time is passing, then like your metabolism
yeah,
wouldn't be
nothing's changing. No time has passed.
same.
Dude, I hope there's like a quantum mechanic particle physicist out there listening to this, just ripping their hair out, gonna motherfucker on every platform. This guy's a complete moron. He throws like an idiot. Like just whatever they can come up with. So initially there were issues with the time portals drifting, and if individuals were transmitted, they would get stuck. Sometimes they would get stuck on the other end. Sometimes they would get stuck in the time portal, but people were disappearing and not coming back. It took from 1980 to 1981 to calibrate the equipment and to train Duncan to stabilize a portal. Researchers also worked on spatial and temporal stabilization, aiming to create portals in specific times and places. Basically like creating checkpoints throughout time and space, which I think is pretty neat. Upon successfully stabilizing and securing the time portals Duncan created, the nature of the Montauk project underwent a significant transformation. The most extraneous personnel were dismissed, and the military departed, and a new team known as, quote, the Secret Crew, unquote, took over the operations, and the project was rebranded as Phoenix 3. And from 1981 to 1983, the primary objective was to explore time itself. To explore realms beyond the time tunnels, the Montauk researchers used large numbers of homeless individuals as subjects, kidnapping them for experimentation. They underwent preparation for about a week before being sent through the tunnels. If they returned, they were expected to provide detailed reports on what they had observed. Unfortunately, many did not return, and the use of homeless individuals was chosen due to the belief that their disappearances would go unnoticed. They were like, yeah, get a bum. Just get a bum and throw him in this vortex.
Bum
Hey,
fights,
bum.
government edition.
Right?
So,
Hey,
so
bum,
real,
Well, I
real,
was gonna
Matt,
say
tell us what
if
you saw.
go ahead, Isaac. Go ahead.
real quick to go back, was Duncan just always strapped into this machine, or was he allowed to go home in between like
He would go
usages?
home.
Okay.
He would like that was his. This was his 9 to 5. Is he would like show up, get some coffee, mill
get
around
shocked.
the water cooler, sit down, get strapped in, get fried for a while. They'd let him loose, have a smoke break, rest, recoup, shake off the vibes from the shocks, get back in the chair, get lit up like a fucking Christmas tree again.
Yeah.
Maybe break for lunch.
Yeah.
You know, like this was his job. He did this every day. He went home. You know, these guys had lives. These guys went home and played with their kids. That's what's fucked up about some of this shit. Like, yeah, there were dorms on the base because it's a military base, so there's dorms there. And if they didn't have one, they could probably be like, "Hey, hotshot, make us some dorms," you know, and put them over here in
Just
this
all-
corner. Yeah, they're like, okay, we'll do that after lunch, and they strap him in. And he's like, 15 minutes. Nobody go over there for a while, and like it's still hot. You know, but yeah, they were like he was opening portals in time and they were just sending people through them. Like
Wow.
figure out what's up. In fact, so additionally there was a considerable number of children who were involved in these experiments. These are the Montauk boys. Want to do it again?
Just trying to make
There it
it.
is. So these children were exclusively male between the ages of 10 and 16 with Aryan features. And they were sent when? Question number 10, I think. No, that's probably question number 11. Yeah. Question number 11. When in time were the Aryan children sent? Where did the Montauk boys go? Closest to the answer gets 250. I'll give you 1,000 if you nail it. Because it's a pretty obscure
This
date.
one is Isaac's first.
All right. Let's go. $1965.
1965.
Man,
Cole?
I want to say they were sent to the future. I'm just gonna throw out a
Ooh.
blanket. Year 3000.
Ooh. Cole is gonna get the points, 250 points.
Good job, Cole.
The Montauk
We already
Boys,
know what happened in the past, you know? Got to figure out what happens in the future.
I didn't even think about going forward.
Yeah, the Montauk Boys traveled to the year 6037 AD.
Oh, I remember you saying that.
Wow.
Yeah, they showed up to investigate a ruined city.
Stop paying attention, Cole.
I'm sorry.
The Montauk Boys were taken from troubled homes. They were runaways, and they were experimented on. They were like taken from the system. So their tasks included examining a statue of a horse and reporting back on their findings, which seems pretty obscure. But I guess, hey, you gotta experiment. Subsequent missions were undertaken, but it remains uncertain if any of these children ever returned. They just sent them to the future and were like, go figure it out. Later revelations suggested a connection between the project and a neo-Nazi organization, with the children recruited to serve this group. Funded by Nazis, using Nazi children, it makes sense. They're probably getting them all from, what is it, Argentina? That little commune in Argentina that's exclusively German. Have you heard about that place?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They all went after the war.
Yeah, when they escaped in their German U-boats from Germany after World War II, they went to Argentina and they started a little colony there. And it's exclusively white German Aryan, and they speak German, and they have like their
It's in South
grandfather.
America.
They have their grandfather's fucking Nazi war uniforms and flags and stuff proudly displayed. Reports also suggested that somewhere between 3,000 and 10,000 people were transported between 200 and 300 years into the future. The exact purpose for this operation remains unknown. They were just like, you know what? Get on out of here. Go into the future. We'll see you when we get there. Be cool. Everybody be cool.
We'll see you when you get there.
Lastly, significant time was dedicated to observing events from both the First and Second World Wars. Pictures were taken and events were closely monitored. I wonder, do you think this is where we get like the remastered footage of World War II, never before seen angles in all color HD?
I remember those commercials, man.
You think
We're just traveling back in time and
they're
getting
just
shots now?
Yeah, flying around like...
You're like,
with
wait, they didn't have to 4K upscale shit. They just went back and shot it again.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, you think that maybe you think that, yeah. Whether project personnel interfered or attempted to alter specific events during these wars is unknown. We don't know. We would never know either. It would just be the way it was. Following the success of the Time Portal projects, Montauk researchers shifted their focus beyond Earth for the next phase of Phoenix 3. The new goal was to establish a portal connecting Earth and Mars, specifically targeting the Martian pyramids near the prominent Face on Mars in the Cydonia region. This area on Mars purportedly exhibits signs of numerous artificial structures, including the pyramids and the iconic face, temples, and a waterfront, and even a city. The Montauk team aimed to explore these structures and unveil the identity of their creators. It's worth noting that the Montauk Project book presents information suggesting the existence of a secret space program involving the U.S. and the Soviet Union, claiming the establishment of colonies on the moon and Mars. So allegedly humans landed on Mars in 1962.
In your face, Elon.
7 years before the moon.
Okay.
So just throwing that out there. Moon should have been small potatoes. They
had to take a fucking rocket, not a portal.
Which seems wasteful. That's the thing. You know what?
If they even went to the moon for real.
That's the thing. That's what I was going to say. I feel like we need to go back and revisit my moon landing episode so I can add this in there, that they didn't go to the moon, but they went to the moon. They went to the moon via a portal. They didn't take a rocket to the moon. So they didn't have to do all the crazy math and fire us out there off of a rock into another spinning rock that's tidally locked with our rock, orbiting a big ball of burning fire. No. We took a portal. We made a wormhole through space and time. Zerp, zerp. Get there. Shoot.
And they're trying to normalize it all by making us watch Rick and Morty.
Yeah. Project
But like
Stargate.
you said in that episode, the radiation belt that would have wiped off all the film.
Yeah.
So if they did do it, that's how they got it back.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's through a portal. Time portals don't have radiation. I mean, they do, but they point it upwards now.
Or you just have like a lead protecting case for the film so that when it passes through radiation.
Sounds heavy,
Hey,
man.
we're playing conspiracy theory here. Don't rain on my parade.
Yeah.
Stop,
Hey,
Jesse.
What the fuck are
we
you
know
doing?
my job in all of this, okay?
Shit. Lead case sounds heavy. Probably wouldn't make it all the way to space.
What do you think Greg would be right now if I never played devil's advocate? And I was just like, yeah, for sure, that's true, dude. We'd both be in a fucking room with mattress for walls.
You'd absolutely still be in a bunker somewhere.
Oh, I miss my bunker sometimes. It's worth noting that the Montauk Project book presents information suggesting the existence of the secret space program. But while the book mentions this information, the author refrains from explicitly stating its authenticity. Yet he implies that people may have inhabited Mars during the time and space portal experiments. So he implies, he doesn't out and out say it, but he says
It's the implication.
it is the implication.
It's the implication.
To delve into the Martian pyramids, the project needed access to their interiors, so Duncan facilitated this by creating a time portal inside the pyramid, maneuvering it until open passageways were discovered. He opened it up and just like dropped it into the blocks. Remember how we talked about like fusing on the molecular level with these things as they go through the... So he did that and kind of moved it around like a steady cam through the portal until he found a passage and was like, okay, zerp. And then they were able to like go in through the portal and into the passage. Which seems kind of fucking cool if I'm being honest. Subsequently,
All of this seems pretty fucking cool if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Subsequently, quote unquote, away teams could enter the portal and traverse from Montauk Point to areas beneath the Martian surface. Although the specifics about the findings within this colossal pyramid structure remain scarce, a few intriguing hints have been provided. Duncan Cameron himself participated in at least one of the away teams and recounted encountering something he termed, quote, the solar system defense, which required deactivation before further research could proceed. I don't know what it is, but it's below the surface of Mars in a giant pyramid. According to the author, portions of the movie Total Recall draw inspiration from events within the Montauk Project, particularly scenes featuring the Martian pyramid and the lady with 3 boobs.
Baby, you make me wish I had 3 hands.
I'm just kidding. That part's not the part they were talking about. The Martian pyramid and the recall chair are taken from the Montauk Project, or startlingly similar, according to the author of the book. Additionally, evidence of intelligent life on Mars was purportedly discovered, necessitating the creation of time portals stretching over 125,000 years into the past for exploration. As with various other aspects of the Montauk Project during this period, the precise details remain unknown. So some of this we talked about. I don't know why I have this way out of place here, but you know what? Fuck it. We're doing it live. What question is this? Question number 12? Yeah, question number 12. This ties into the Philadelphia experiment because remember the 2 soldiers that were lost, never came back, never landed back in Philadelphia?
Yes.
In what year did those 2 wind up?
Oh, they found him.
Yeah, they found him, buddy.
Okay.
Question
Shit.
number 12.
Buried next to Bender Bending Rodriguez.
In Roswell, New Mexico.
Okay. So, you said the ship went.
Wait a second. Wait.
Oh.
Before Cole gives an answer, though,
Yeah.
do we want to allow Isaac a chance to stab, or does it?
It's not multiple choice though, right? So I can't really stab at it. It's only, I mean,
Oh,
it's
that's
it's
true,
closest
that's
to it.
true.
This is
I thought
one of
about
the-
that, Jesse.
This is one of the answers I gave away.
Oh shit.
So, if you get the year right, it's worth 500 points. If you're closest to it, it's 250 points. There's one more question after this,
That's multiple choice,
which
right?
is multiple choice that you can stab.
Okay.
at.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, so you said the ship went forward in time by like 20 minutes or so. I
10
think I
minutes.
remember here saying something else. 10, sorry. I'm going to guess they went to 1984.
Good guess. That's a very good guess.
Man, I got to either go one above or one below him. I mean, strategically, right? 1983.
Two very good guesses. Isaac, 500 points. They did land in
Ooh.
1983.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
All right. Makes it interesting.
Hey, Cole, good job. I stole it from you, but good job.
That's all right. That's what it's about, dude.
That's why there's a little gamesmanship in going first or second now.
Yeah.
All right, that closes the gap to a 500-point gap. 1250 Isaac, 1750 Cole.
All right.
So one question remaining. So the conclusion of the Montauk Project occurred on August 12th, 1983, marked by the activation of a time portal linking Montauk Base with the USS Eldridge from 4 decades earlier during the original Philadelphia experiment. According to Nichols, in 1983 was the closing of the time loop. Essentially, they opened it in 1943, and it made stops in 1963 on its way to 1983. And in the interview, you can totally check out the interview. It's on a podcast if you want. I'll send you the link. It's pretty fucking cool. It's in fact, I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you exactly what it's called.
So it's also every 20 years, it seems like.
Well, they didn't have anything in 2003 that we know of. But it's called the Montauk Project, Preston Nichols, Coast to Coast AM. It's from May 27th, 1994. And it's like the first hour and a half of the episode. And it's just an interview with him talking about this stuff and talking about the megawatt wires going into the facility and like hiking around out there during his urban exploration and finding big drainage pipes that were like asbestos capped, and they went in there and did a bunch of stuff and were digging up a bunch of stuff in the park and all this shit. It's a very cool interview. I suggest listening to it if you're interested in this. Faced with growing discomfort over the project's objectives, coupled with the concerns about the potential consequences of manipulating time and space, several project members decided to abruptly halt the endeavor. A specific code phrase was whispered to Duncan, prompting him to unleash a creature from his subconscious, the beast from the id. They walked by him while he was in the chair getting zapped, and they said, "It's time." And he fucking Junior, the hairy beast that we talked about earlier, the one that the skittish guy that's living on the grounds was talking about, they let that motherfucker loose. He materialized somewhere on the base near the transmitter because it's not an exact science. And the monstrous manifestation resembling a large hairy creature rampaged through the base, causing destruction and devouring everything in its path. Concurrently, another project member began dismantling cables and conduits, attempting to cut power off to the base transmitters and terminate the project. Basically, that was Preston Nichols working on this. He went to the transmitter room that they had, and he's pulling every wire he could get his hands on, lost lights to the building, all that stuff. And the beast, he could still hear people screaming, and the beast still going nuts elsewhere on the base. They're just freaking out. Everybody's going wild. Eventually, after sufficient destruction and disconnected equipment, the transmitter powered down, and the beast gradually just faded away. Following the catastrophic events of August 12, 1983, the Montauk Project ceased operations. The base was evacuated of personnel and equipment, with all non-essential individuals subjected to brainwashing to erase the memories of their events. Almost a year later, in May or June of 1984, a unit of quote-unquote Black Berets, possibly an elite Marine unit, entered the base with orders to eliminate any potential threats. They conducted a thorough sweep, and a second team removed sensitive equipment. Subsequently, the underground chambers were sealed off. According to the author, one of the cleared rooms contained hundreds of human skeletons. Towards the end of can you imagine opening that room and just seeing hundreds of people, but in skeleton form, like arguably their spookiest form.
Bunch of bastard skellies.
Just heaped. Towards the end of 1984, cement was poured into the numerous elevator shafts and underground areas of the Montauk base, sealing off sections utilized for the most extreme space-time experiments. After these measures, the gates to Montauk Air Force Base were secured. the base was abandoned for a second and final time. Ultimately, Fort Hero, including Montauk Base, was donated to the state of New York and transformed into a park. So it's a park now. And
Just one day, there's gonna be kids playing, and a monster is just gonna be all.
so, before I finish this up, the original title for Stranger Things was Montauk. So if you haven't seen Stranger Things, I'm sorry to spoil it for you, but you can see how it could be based on something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have watched it. I kind of do see the correlation there.
Yeah, the immense uses of power, the generating or like psychically generating a beast, the experimenting on children, telekinesis, brainwashing, mind control. It's all there. The 80s, it's all there. It's literally all there. So I think that's pretty interesting to note. I mean, good job, Duffer Brothers. But also, a lot of this stuff was mentioned in the X-Files. The Philadelphia experiment being part of it when they talked, or the Bermuda Triangle time travel was mentioned. The Philadelphia experiment and some similar effects of bonding on a molecular level. Body switching, like when how they swapped Duncan's soul with his own soul. That, but like
It's a good swap. It's a good swap.
But it happened to a fighter pilot and a native woman, like in the desert. So on the X-Files, but like I said, the X-Files is pretty cool about getting close on a lot of stuff. So they've covered this, but a lot of this information came from a book by Preston Nichols. Question number 12, and potentially for the game, Isaac, you're gonna have to stab at this, buddy.
I'm prematurely stabbing right now.
You're gonna have to stab at this. In what year did Preston Nichols die?
Stab, and we'll go. I know you said. I'm thinking of probably the wrong person. Let's go. 1996.
Cole, your multiple choice options.
I'll stab at it too, actually.
Yeah, you just want
I'm allowed to do so.
Yeah, so you just want to win with a walk-off if you get it.
Wow.
Well, shit. Fuck, I already forgot the year you said. Okay, I think I remember it. In the interest of trying to win, if I can remember the year you just said, I'm also going to guess 1993.
1993.
If that's the year that you said.
Okay, so what was your answers? 1996 and 1993?
I said 96, unless the answer is 93. But
Okay.
I'm going to go 96.
For those playing the home game, the multiple choice options are 1992, 1998, 2010, 2018, or Still Alive.
Oh.
So neither of us got it.
No points awarded.
Dang.
You both went down swinging, and I can appreciate it.
He's still alive.
Do you think he's still alive?
Well, now. I mean, I don't know.
Cole? Backup guess?
I'll go with still alive too. Sounds pretty fair.
Preston Nichols died in 2018.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not too long ago.
Not too long ago at all. Real close. So, yeah, that's pretty much the Montauk Project and like the Philadelphia experiment and the thick and veiny of it. Like, I don't know. I think it's a pretty interesting story, especially when you take into account some of the claims that got made, like body switching and aliens and telekinesis and materializing beasts from the subconscious. And yeah, it's just a wild story.
It was indeed.
So, yeah, go ahead.
It's a lot to take in.
It is
a lot to take in.
It really is.
It is.
Congratulations to Cole on the victory.
Good job. Good job.
You want to take a victory lap? Anything you want to say? Anything you want to shout out? Now's your time to shine.
I mean, the only thing I really shout out is my Instagram. It's at ibreakouties. So that's really all I got.
There it is. Isaac.
No, I got nothing to say, man. Yeah, thank you guys for having me again, man. Cole, congratulations on the engagement.
Thank you, sir.
So, yeah, that's about it, man. Good episode. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks for being here. This was fun. Jesse, I'll let you go ahead and do the thing that you know how to do better than me.
Yeah. Just check out everything at serialchillerspod.com. Follow us on Instagram, where we are not very active, but you can contact us. That's kind of mainly what all of the social media grams have become for us. Ways you can contact us. If you want to find us, you can find us each week here Friday when the new episode comes up, or Thursday if you give $5 or more on the Patreon, and you get your episodes one day early. Yeah, man. Patreon.com/serialchillerspodcast if you want to give it to the show. Serialchillerspod.com for everything. Yeah, man. Oh, really quickly, it's at the end of the show, and I'm gonna ask you now that it's over, how goes it? Hello, Greg.
It feels good to get all this off my chest now. Like,
There we go. It's out there. You've had a couple bangers roll through here
I've
recently.
gotten real deep on a couple of them. Well, because I did what, JFK, the Anunnaki, and now this.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's
I'm glad I've only got like every 5th episode or whatever. I get off into the weeds too far. But yeah, also, if you guys are interested in my starfish, visit lonelyfanswith2z's.com. I just didn't want to forget to throw that in there.
It's a real website. So.
It is. Check it out. It doesn't automatically sign you up. You have to sign up.
Well, Greg, thanks for pulling it all together, making it happen tonight.
Hey, man, thanks for
Isaac
being here.
Yeah, I didn't do shit. It was great.
Yeah.
That's why these ones are fun for me. Isaac, thank you for being here. Appreciate you, man. Cole,
Absolutely, man.
very same. I mean, Cole, you haven't seemed very excited or relaxed or anything. You've kind of just maintained this whole time, so it's a good face to have.
Yeah, my frozen camera having the same face for 2 hours and 19 minutes now.
A couple of times I knew I would get myself. I looked up to like say something,
catch his reaction.
Yeah, like I'd say something that I felt was pretty shocking, and I'd look up and there's no reaction, and I'm like, oh yeah,
fucking stonewall them.
Yeah, takes me.
That Cole is so stoic.
Putting my poker face on to win.
Oh, all right. Well, anybody have anything important to add?
Did I already say Lonely Fans?
You did, but you might as well say it again.
Lonelyfanswith2z's.com.
All right. Well, then, for Isaac, Cole, and hello, Greg, I'm Cromulent Jesse. Remember, don't talk to strangers.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, boys.